oxide, whatever. I don't insert chemical composition here. Dump it in the water bottle, tighten it down, and throw it, and it goes kaboom. Lots of fun, and it's searing hot. Yeah.
Well, if you ever made the calcium carbide bombs, or the contact explosives, like so when you put it, like you can put the contact, like basically you have to make sure it's still wet, and then when you put it in the you basically stuff it in the keyhole, so when they put the key into the lock and they turn the key, it explodes. Oh, I mean, it was, it wasn't like it blew them up. It was just, it was a pop, and it scared the shit out of them.
The worst, I mean, I've done the little CS gas thing. I had a sergeant, I'll save his name to protect the guilty, cocksucking cunt, Jeff Rollheim. He was an asshole, and he worked night shift. I had my wife at the time mail me wild bird seed, small bag of it. We had the all 10 fucking pods, 3-person pods. So cunt would go work out because he was a fucking asshole. And then he would go into his pod and he'd go to sleep. I took the entire bag of wild bird seed and poured it on top of his pod. Now, if you haven't been, and you'll probably never go, I should at least inform you that Iraq has the largest population, probably 20-1 in humans to fucking pigeon ratio. And shit. You get all this wild bird seed on the roof, so you hear this. But pigeons don't shit where they eat. They hang their ass off of an edge. Motherfucker opens the door to look up what the fuck. Face full of bird shit.
Pooping everywhere.
One of my greatest accomplishments. Fuck that cunt.
Actually, I shot a bunch of pigeons over there. Because we
just taking pot shots at
well,
pigeons.
I mean, we had a what do they call them? Anthropology unit over there with us, and their job was basically to maintain and handle the pigeon population. Well, the pigeon, like you said, it was out of control. Like we had to kill so many to keep diseases down and stuff. So they would say, "Hey, you want to come out and shoot some pigeons?" I'm like, "Well, fuck yeah." I want to kill these motherfucking pigeons, and these fucking pellet guns had fucking scopes on them and shit.
Oh Jesus!
And you there'd be 2 pigeons right next to each other. You'd fucking shoot one in the head, blow its head off. The next pigeon next to it was just clueless, like it didn't even fucking move, like it wouldn't even budge. And then you shoot it and fucking kill it.
Birds are stupid.
And
yes, they are. Except for crows. Crows are pretty smart, man.
Yeah. Well, I would never shoot a crow.
Crows use tools.
They do. They throw litter in the garbage too. I saw a meme of it today. It's got to be true.
If it's, on a meme, it's got to be true.
Welcome.
James got drunk. He's texting me.
No way.
Wait, what?
He broke his sobriety. Yeah, he's like, dude, I'm fucking drunk. He's like, I'll be there in a minute. Cinco de Mayo. It's cool.
I mean, yeah, he's the most Mexican-looking Polak I've ever met.
Exactly. He's Diego Cruz.
Do you know how to get him out of a tree?
Wait.
Yep.
How many Polacks does it take to screw in a light bulb? 100. 1 to hold the light bulb and
99 to turn the house.
So why do they throw shit on the wall at a Polish wedding? Keep the flies off the bride.
Ooh.
Ta-da.
I have any more.
I got that somewhere.
I think I'd rather hear dead baby jokes.
Oh, we could tell dead baby jokes all night. We should have a dead baby segment.
We should have a dead baby joke off.
Oh, joke off. Joke me off.
I just hope none of our conversation between Wanderer, you and I ever sees the light of day.
What's that?
Oh, yeah, dude. That whole text chain that we had gets flagged by the NSA or something. We're all done. There was some shit said in that.
It's already been flagged.
They all are. Data mined. We're sucked into the algos.
Have you been listening to the Andrew Bartzis history of AI?
No, I have not. I don't know what that is.
Very interesting shit. Talking about how AI was employed during Reagan's election to sway the voters towards him. That's what got him the landslide.
What kind of AI would they use?
It was some kind of AI that ran in the telephone switches and monitored television signals.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, dude, who knows? With the old like tube TVs and stuff, there could have been some sort of subtle flashing mechanism that you didn't even pick up.
Tube.
Basically, he's saying now there's AI that exists within the Wi-Fi network.
Oh, that's believable at this point.
Like in local Wi-Fi networks, it can travel around. I don't know. It's crazy shit, but it's interesting if it's true.
I just want to correct myself. When I said anthropologist, no, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Entomologist. Okay. Sorry. That was completely mixed up. All right. I want to correct this before Jerry corrects me. Okay.
Entomologist as in was it insect?
Yes. When I was talking about when we had in civil engineering in the Air Force, we have guys that deal with bugs and pesticides and take care of like animals and stuff.
No
I said anthropologist. That's not the correct term. It's entomologist. I've been drinking a little bit, so I got my apologists mixed up.
It's all good. I didn't hear you say it. So
I'm just impressed that Jerry's got you so triggered from being wrong on
I've never corrected him.
It's a lot of power to be held there, Jerry. I'm glad you don't have that sway over me, bud.
I always make sure I try to double check my grammar in the chats because I know Jerry's around the corner waiting.
I am terrible at recalling facts. But 3, I have.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad you correct.
I love Jerry to death. Jerry's actually
Jerry is awesome.
And a good comrade, and he's been there when I've been
comrade.
Sometimes I wonder if he's maybe a couple thousand years old actually.
I mean, spiritually, probably. Physically, he's definitely on his way. Love you, buddy. Aren't you doing a hive tonight, bro?
We're doing it right now.
You're dual hiving?
That's the Presto Chango. I'm streaming your show.
Hive show?
Oh!
Presto Chango.
Jerry hijacked our shit show and is doing a hive out of our shit.
That's because I have a hive every Saturday, and Grimsteak has to schedule a show right when my show's on.
First off, this is the first hive that you've been prepared on, because normally you're like, I don't know, are we doing a hive tomorrow? So I just figured Saturdays are up for grabs. If
Suzanne makes me do it, dude. You know that.
I know she does.
Now I forgot what I was going to do.
Oh, there's Jerry.
Hey, Graham.
And we got Graham.
Were you in my other hangout?
I was trying.
No, we're on here.
Okay. Cool.
Sorry, hey, ladies. Everybody.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi, Susan.
Peter Griffin's got a mustache.
Hey, Scene. How you doing, Scene?
That's what that fucking idiot esoteric Ed says. So he pronounces Sean. Scene.
Scene?
Yeah.
Guy who was from Manila, and that's how he said my name. Ian.
Oh my gosh.
I loved it. I really do. I really love every of my name, Cian. Hi, Graham. Good to see you, sir.
I should just start.
Hey, you too, buddy.
So,
hello, Graham.
Hello. No, me? No, I haven't seen the first one. I don't think.
Okay, never mind.
You've never seen the first Super Troopers, Graham?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I did not mean to start. Just let it go. It was a question.
Okay, I'll let it go.
Okay, I came very close to Super Troopers 2. They did the crowdfunding to get the second one going.
Yes.
I came very close to putting in the $10,000 to get the fucking sheriff's car.
I mean,
I came really close.
That would have been awesome.
I was like, yes, man. They need to make a second, a sequel to this fucking.
That probably would have been a good investment.
Probably would.
I mean, among the cult fans, I mean, you would have been a god among men. You would have been all that is man. But no, anyways, moving on. It doesn't matter. If not all of us have seen it, we're not going to go down that path.
I think I'm just gonna start recording because I don't know where the fuck James is. Should be.
I thought he went somewhere. He was bidding on something.
A national Polish holiday.
Bidding 4 hours or something.
Yeah, it was like a 4 and then a oath, and then he said oops 3 or something, or 3 oops. He was bidding on something, he said.
There's so many stuff right now, but I'm moving on.
Yeah, he said 4 hours. I'm like, how do you bid on 4 hours? 4 hours of what?
I thought eBay died when Amazon came up to light. I'm surprised. I'm impressed.
No, I think there's too many people that are like eBay.
Oh, goddamn! I like the new cover art.
I got an eBay story.
Let's hear it.
Ooh.
I know one of the founders, but
all right.
I grew up in the valley.
So,
I know a lot of people at eBay. Go ahead.
James is I don't think he'll make it. He's a mess. He's a mess right now.
This is your instant karma for defying the hive. By the way, I'm just saying.
We didn't bring it on.
And I want to remind you that you helped program that in there. So.
Oh no, is James okay?
I don't know. He's not texting coherently.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, when he drinks, I figure he'd probably want, might as well go down in flames kind of drinking night.
If I'm gonna do it, I'm going all out.
Right, exactly.
That's what Darren's like when he drinks too. It's a fucking shit show.
Me too. Take me to Vegas, free drinks, Jesus.
It's that shitty sponge in his head.
Yeah, bring me 2 triple Cosmos and keep them coming.
And a Mike's Hard Lemonade.
No, that shit's nasty. Like
Zuma.
Someone's mom.
Zimas? We talking about Zimas?
Zimas. Oh my god.
Montezuma.
Wait, there's something called a Zuma.
There might be.
Isn't there?
Yeah, that's called diarrhea. Montezuma.
No, maybe.
When you're feeling down and low and you think you're gonna blow, it's diarrhea.
Cha-cha-cha.
Cha-cha-cha.
There is something that's a Zuma.
Grimsteak, pay attention. Everybody,
pay attention.
Full bottle. Let's see where we get tonight.
Oh man!
I just heard your wife go, "Oh my god!"
That lighter fluid.
Might have to tap into this
Might as
moonshine.
well
Here.
be.
This is the only time you can get away with drinking a 14-year-old.
Or,
I get it.
Or you're high up in the DNC.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I got a lot of things. Okay,
If your name rhymes with molesta.
Chester, the child molester.
Chester the molester.
He was my favorite fucking babysitter when I was a kid. All right.
I never forget the first hustler I found at my dad's dresser, Anyway.
I found a suitcase of hustlers that my dad was collecting. I think that was my first nocturnal admission after seeing
A suitcase of them.
A suitcase full of cum.
How old were you then?
A lot of the pages were sticking together after I discovered it. But that's beside.
Yeah.
I was young.
How old were you? Like 10?
Yes.
I think I was 8 or 9 when I found the Playboys in the Woods.
Was it a trap and then some hillbillies came out and said, "Squeal like a pig"?
You got a pretty mouth, boy.
Got a pretty mouth.
We're gonna make you squeal like a piggy. That's fucking funny.
It's what's funnier is that we all discovered porn before we hit puberty.
No, I think, to be honest with you, the first time I discovered a pornographic video, or rather was introduced to it, was when I was 3 or 4. But you have to understand, I have
That's too young.
That are much older than me, and they got into Dad's fucking hairy fucking snatch stash.
Right, but you don't know what that is at 3 or 4. Jeez. I'm talking about, being 10, 11, whatever, and then, not to mention we all found our parents' stash.
You'd fit right into the school system nowadays.
Shit. Now I really have some serious concerns. Like, all of us in this group, one, remember when it was illegal to buy white weed. remember
What's white weed?
when we had
It still
a
is.
small
It still
neighborhood,
is where I am.
a small area, and like my dad's whistle carried about 5 blocks, and that was the geographical limitation of my travels. Because if you couldn't hear the whistle, or if you weren't home by the time the streetlights turned on, your ass was in trouble. And then there was the phone list. And then there was the joint phone, like the wired phone. Like you'd be on the phone with your girlfriend or friend, and then your mom or your dad would jump on the line and be like, we're going to use the phone. We're waiting for calls. No one has called us. Get off.
What was your phone number?
831-338-3222.
Mine was 312-445-7004.
Nice. I bet you that number still goes to my sister's house. So anyone who's listening, call the fuck out of it.
Yes.
My sister bought my parents' house. Please call her a lot.
Mine was 707-448-7906.
Nice.
Man.
Seeing these kids these days they never had landlines, and they don't.
Oh, so you didn't have to memorize numbers. Like I still remember like my best friend's numbers and stuff. Like
me too.
5.
Yeah, me too. Exactly.
Phone numbers that I remember.
Because you'd have to punch it in.
Do you remember Jenny's number?
867-539-09.
In fact, my Zoom ID is 867-530-0900.
It's pretty close.
Damn you, Johnny Rocker.
Yeah,
Or
that is
Tommy
true.
Two-Tone.
Damn Egyptians for inventing the zero.
Yeah. What?
So-
Come on. Why does nothing have to be a thing? Don't give it value.
I think that's the most fascinating thing about our age groups.
We made the
In
transition.
the age group where we remember when drugs were scary and before we had video conferencing, but we remember the Nintendo and the.
Well, we were analog kids. We're digital adults.
Yes, analog kids to digital adults, right? And the generation that's slightly older than us, not a big gap, but there's a gap there. You guys remember like the tail end of the Cold War. You remember the transition in music and evolution in music, and these are things that I remember. You guys
That's the
remember
grand generation.
watching television start evolving from just being like a few select channels to like a real broadcast effort. It's fascinating because now we're going to sit back and watch in the next 10, 15 years the arc of technology and how it has changed human evolution and human consciousness. And I don't mean consciousness in the way we generally talk about, but just the things that are skill sets developed for survival. We remember phone numbers. I have probably 25 phone numbers that I remember off the top of my head that are fucking important. But most of the kids of this generation or this era of technology ain't there.
You don't need to.
And we still won't have fucking flying cars.
Yeah, dude. Where's the
I want my flying car. Oh, and you know what? You know what was in my Google feed? There was something about some flying motorcycle thing in Japan that they were going to start using. Isn't that funny?
Well, I think the delay is because they're trying to get the self-driving cars debugged. Because you think about it, do you really want people in flying cars flying around? I mean, they'd be fucking crashing the buildings and shit.
I think it's probably easier than driving on the road.
I mean, there would be mid-air collisions everywhere. Fucking.
It'd have to be some type of a rail system, like in some of those movies.
I think what's really lacking in the development of the technology for flying cars is finding a consolidated power source that can handle the economics of a self-powered car, right? Self-powered vehicles are already here. I live in San Jose. I live in close to the Silicon Valley, and like there's a lot of companies that have a lot of heavy investors backing them that are developing self-driving cars. This is going to happen very fucking soon. We're on the precipice of a new era.
But unfortunately,
if they don't quit crashing and killing people.
But that's the thing, right? Like, even though the culture is like meow, meow, meow outside of the Silicon Valley, the general consensus is the technology is not fully refined, and they still have a way to pin it down on the human element. Because all of these self-driving cars are not without a steering wheel. The operator, who's supposed to be fucking paying attention, is goddamn comfortable. And that's how a lot of these mistakes are made. So it's still a human element.
Unfortunately, they like to keep us grounded
I think they're
I truly
also
believe that
holding off for the roads to become completely self-driving. Then they won't have to worry about so many obstacles.
Exactly. They're still
The
gonna,
roads are so bad. How I don't. Oh, they're gonna have
They'll
to
have dedicated
self-driving
roadway.
tanks.
They'll have dedicated pathways and roadways for self-driving cars, just like they.
They're
we're
gonna
talking
have
about
to.
for
Maybe
the
that's what
Segway.
the whole.
Do you remember the Segways when they were talking about having cities built around the stupid things? Oh,
Well, maybe that's what all these toll roads are gonna be for.
well, that's what's really
Trying to-
interesting. Right? If we look at the evolution of infrastructure and we look at the last, how long have we had vehicles? We've had vehicles for what, the last 100 years, roughly?
At least 100 years. We had buggies before that.
Big round number.
Roads have been around since the 1820s, 30s.
Since the paved roads.
Think-
1600s they had roads.
Wells Fargo,
I mean,
all
I
that
could
shit.
say-
They
Back
needed roads.
east.
I could say honestly, all of us in this group have seen significant growth in our communities. So where I grew up is on the outskirts of the Silicon Valley. That's the San Jose, Santa Clara, Sunnyvale, Cupertino area where a lot of technology has been developed. When I was a little kid, where Apple currently, the original Apple headquarters was built, it used to be pastures. It used to be orchards. I remember that. I remember seeing the original first
In Cupertino, right?
Cupertino office. I remember that. I have been in the building that
One
developed.
infinite loop.
I have been in the building that developed the internet, the Xerox and IBM campus.
I remember when Stanford wasn't there.
Exactly, Suzanne. You've been
I'm
around-
just kidding.
you've been around for a minute.
I know.
What I've
But
learned
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
from seeing an area go from a town to a city to a metropolitan area is that original zoning and planning had roads so big, but then they found out they needed more. So then I've seen the time it takes for them to rezone, retrofit, and widen. Give it another 25, 30 years, and we will effectively, probably in this area where a lot of the development is happening, and God only knows what's going to happen in the next 25 years. So it might move to places like Minneapolis, Minnesota. New York ain't going to happen anytime soon. A lot of these places that are still kind of nimble in rezoning and rebuilding their building structure, their infrastructure, that have people that are willing and inspired and forward thinking in the community, it's probably going to happen here in my neighborhood first. You're going to see a change in the metropolitan and urban environment. Now, I live on the outskirts of that, and I actually ask these questions because one of my clients is specifically developing self-driving cars. That is their market, and they are still in stealth mode. I can't tell you their name, but I asked the question,
Stealth
hey,
cars.
guys, what the fuck? I live out here in Boulder Creek. You guys are here in X city. What are you doing for those unincorporated areas? And they said, we're going to figure out some kind of, that's going to happen anyways. We're focusing on the main metropolitan areas and getting that culture accustomed to it and finding a way to generate incentives for that culture to invest in and buy out and operate and utilize our technology. Like what they did with hybrids. Hybrids was the first step.
It's going to carpooling.
So some of the restrictions that we're seeing so far in technology that I've understood and gleaned from these people is really the power cell and how to manage it. Finding a way to centralize when you have a large metropolitan area, you still have micro communities. And those micro communities have places of work. So then what's going to happen? You start finding a way to slowly work out the residential zones that generally live on the peripheral of the economic zone and industrial zone. And how do you manage that? Google's already doing that because Google already has Google buses going from point A to point B, and Facebook already has Facebook buses taking large numbers of people to general waypoints that service those communities. All of these peripheral things are supporting the main technology and the main incentive of taking us where we're in a completely automated society and futuristic society. It's just getting culture to follow in line. It's getting economic backing and traction, which is there. And then refining the technology. And then once you refine the technology, how does that impact the workforce and all of those sciences and those markets around that? It's fascinating as fuck.
I'm sorry, but here's what pisses me off, okay? Because this technology you're talking about is so fucking obsolete. It's a fucking joke. All right, because if you seriously think
Combustion
that
engines or electric cars?
All of it.
Okay.
They're way ahead of that.
If
There's
you
free
honestly
energy
think-
all over the place.
if you honestly think that they
Okay,
don't
wait.
have this fucking technology, like this UFO technology, this anti-propulsion,
Well, this is all alleged.
anti-gravitational.
I don't think that.
But here's the thing: like you can look up, like there's patents right now that you can look up apparatus for secondary gravitational force field. These patents, all right, they've taken these patents and they developed this technology over the years, and they're way up here, we're way down here. They're going to keep us down here because they want to keep burning those fucking fossil fuels as long as they fucking can.
There's patents
All right.
for personal teleportation devices.
Yeah, you can pretty much get a patent thing.
No, but there's a long list of free energy devices that can actually create more than they take in.
Yeah, there are several over Unity devices. The Babcock one is the one I know of.
Brown's gas.
The problem is, what about T. Thomas Brown, was it? But yeah, Brownian stuff, that was real interesting. But I'm saying is that the energy that produces doesn't generate force in the way that we can use it at AC power in our houses. There has to be some kind of conversion. It may be over Unity and all, but it's not going to hook up to your house. And that's the problem. It can generate more than you put into it, but all you're getting out of it is a tiny bit.
Yeah, but my point is that those have been developed for a long time. So somebody's been developing, exactly that from those basic technologies for decades. So like it's out there, I think.
It may be. And if you look at like Babcock, who's got this engine and plans to build larger ones and can power houses and shit, no one will give him money. No one, he can't get funding. Why not? Why can't Elon Musk buy that tech from him?
Well, so my question is like, what's the whole fucking point of zoning? What is the zoning thing? What is the zoning thing?
A way to collect taxes?
Thank you. To collect fucking money. Like, why do you need, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to get down to this path because it just fucking pisses me off.
They need to zone so they can charge the proper real estate taxes. We have been set back so fucking far, and it's just, when they talk about this technology, like self-driving cars and shit, I'm just like, I just fucking roll my eyes, man, because I'm just like, really? I mean, fucking come on, man.
Can I jump in for a second, Leo?
No.
I'm not going to directly speak to the direction you were going because I don't have a lot of disagreement. Rolling back on just a general opinion of things and the tone that I've heard taken on several hives, several podcasts, several conspiracy theorists, several open mind and open thinking forums. I believe that there are a lot of different strategies and paradigms affecting the same technology and affecting how things go, but there is an ultimate direction that things are going. And all of those pieces participate in influencing the path and course of development in progress. I'm a firm believer that there's definitely a group of people that are all about the God almighty fucking dollar. I'm one of those people. I worship the dollar. It's the fucking best goddamn drug in the world. Money. It gets you whatever you want. But I also have met and have had the privilege of being amongst, and a lot of people in this room are in that group, of people that are progressive and want enlightenment, self-improvement, improvement in the community, and love and peace. And they move in a direction and they influence the course of things by what they bring to the table. You look at the global landscape, technological potential, and development. We have cell phones because of nerds that watched Star Trek. I mean, I really firmly think you can look at Star Trek as the inspiration for the technology we have today because it gave
a lot of UFO conspiracy theorists.
And Dave Acton and George Swigert dad.
I've seen 3 UFOs in my lifetime. Things that I just can't fucking explain that just don't make sense. And I feel like I have a pretty decent grasp of physics and potential technology that we have, and this shit just didn't fucking add up. I take everything with a grain of salt. I don't want to digress too far. I think that there are a lot of elements invested in the direction of our development as a culture, as a species, and economically. And I get concerned when I hear broad swaths of generalizations, because I think that it's easy to say that the government as a whole is only after money, is only after controlling, and there's a shadow government below that that's influencing them to screw all of us. It's harder to say that there's probably some fucking people that are really interested in the betterment of society, humanity as a species, and the world. And we need to start separating those pieces from the story and go, this little bit and this little bit and this little bit, this is the part I'm going to follow. These other influences here, this could be ramifications or reactions of the human psyche as a whole and how they react to a situation or change. So moving into technology, moving into energy. Yes, there's definitely a presence of people that are fully vested in staying with fossil fuels. There's definitely a culture of people or a group of people that are invested in improving our ability to generate energy at lower costs and investment and energy input. And we got to look at that. I get concerned when I hear a lot of
I get that. It's not for me. It's not the government. It's private industry that's suppressing it. But I mean, I just put a link in the chats because actually, ironically enough, we have Patrick Kelly on the show tomorrow, and he's got this website freeenergyinfo.com, and it lists hundreds and hundreds of links and papers and devices and stuff that is actually just, it's all like technically free energy. Like it's doing what the science says you can't do right now. And that's not being accepted by the community. So this is more of what I'm talking about. It's not, that somebody's taken these simple concepts and they've developed exotic technology from it. So it's not governments necessarily. Governments may be a part of the cover up maybe, but I feel like the info's out there, and it's just it's like a schizophrenic thing, on one hand they're not allowing it to come to light, and on the other hand they're trying to say that trying to come up with all this Tesla stuff and self-driving cars, and I agree that the technology's out there.
I think you're accurate there. There's the people that influence the media, which is our main place to distribute information, right? The common person doesn't give two shits about generating or drilling down and really researching information as a commonality. I personally am one of those people. I listen to NPR, I listen to Grammarica, I listen to Stuff You Should Know. I listen to various cherry picking of podcasts because the topic seems interesting and it opens me up to new possibilities and information. But I personally don't seek out truth. So take me, who's kind of in the middle of the average person, and let's look at the average person who's worked all day. They focus directly on their job if they care to, progress and move forward in their career path and, fulfill financial obligations to their family and themselves and their own development. They're not going to focus on those things that it does directly relate to them, but they haven't drawn that connection culturally and educationally. We don't really draw connections between the impact of technology and government people around us and how it impacts us in our community because it's not beneficial. You get enough goddamn people picking at an idea, and that saying is a proverb saying, idiom, too many cooks spoil the soup. I work in a team. I work in a team of individuals, and we have the same goal to make a project successful. I personally take on the burden of the initial planning, execution, and understanding of the technology we're going to apply. And I distill that down into some basic things. This is what the functions of this system is going to be. Then I bring that to my engineer and I go, this is what we're doing. This is what we're selling our client. And he takes that and he looks at the general wide swaths of paint and gives me all the hue and color and saturation required to make the distilled idea firm. We take that to the other side of the team who executes on the plan, and they don't fucking deviate. If there's a deviation in the end product, we want an additional function. We thought it was going to do this. It goes back to me. It goes back to my engineer. And we go back to refining and distilling the ask. The reason we do this is because I've dealt with large groups of people as a client. IT individuals, marketing individuals, CEOs, CFOs, chief financial officers. And all of them have their own agenda that is hyper-focused and siloed, because that's their goal, is to either make this expense easier to burden on the budget, more technologically sound, more appealing to external influences or parties. So the marketing team gives a shit about who comes into the company to see the technology they have and how it represents the ideals and principles of the company. Right. There's a lot of different players that are hyper-focused. Zoom out. Medical science, Western medical science. You have hyper-focused disciplines and doctors that focus on neurosciences, nerve sciences, skin sciences, and all of the things that specifically pertain to that very narrow segment of the human body. Where there is a disconnect is because they're so hyper-focused on those specific siloed regions of a subject. There isn't a lot of time for an individual to take in all of the information and draw connections between them. So now it becomes a challenge of communication and collaboration. But you can't communicate and collaborate unless you have something to communicate and collaborate on. That's where this community of podcasters, this community of Gramerica, Cruising with Steak, the Hive, that's where this group is starting. And the rest of the people that are part of the community are starting to evolve us. And that's what we're seeing now.
But this is the problem we have. And the problem is you have to get permission to do any of this shit, whether it's zoning or patents or whatever. And it is that chain of authority that you have to break.
Right.
I'm sorry, but this technology. I'm sorry, but technology should be open sourced. You know, if the people should be able to decide whether or not they want to go down this path or this path. And unfortunately, we have been limited on that option because, well, for one,
because oil.
Well, I mean, a lot of this shit gets bought up. Like these patents get bought, and they get oppressed.
What you're saying is there's so much red tape for an idea to come to fruition to the point.
Well, you were ex-military. You tell me.
Right. And you know what I understand that's what makes the United States military so fucking efficient? You got one fucking job. That's what makes the military efficient in that format. However, we're talking about groups of individuals that are highly invested in their trade and their skill set, that have invested their financial, their livelihood is based around what they've invested in and getting a return from it. So you have to be patient and understanding and appeal to your audience. If I need my engineer, okay, so let's break it down into just some very simple shit. My engineer is a hardened, this is our technology, this is the application of our technology. I like to go and say, well, here's another product set that was made for residential versus commercial application. I recognize the potential of the residential application. We're talking about speakers, Sonos speakers, to throw a brand out there, right? Sonos speakers allow the product, that speaker, to be on the network wired and to stream your device to those speakers. You can set the levels and volumes. You can group them and zone them. You can have 32 of them maximum on a network. And they can be in 32 or 25 or 10 or 15 different groups. And you can set and adjust the volume and levels of all of them. And different subscribers can subscribe and broadcast audio to them. Right. I'm in commercial audio video. My technology allows you to do what we're doing now, video conferencing. Right now, what's happening in the background is there's an algorithm called auto echo cancellation, or AEC, that takes the sound of you talking and it takes what it hears on the microphone I'm using a blue ball, a snowball. And it says, everything that I hear you say, I'm not going to let go through that microphone and go back to you. It's a very complicated algorithm that's based on physics.
They also use 2 audio channels in Zoom specifically.
They do.
But I have my Echo, the auto cancellation turned off.
Right, but you're running mix minus. Mix minus means Jerry has all of the room audio in his ears and all of his mic audio dedicated to the output.
There's still a chain of authority. Like for instance, an example, you've been ex-military, like when you like any type of out processing or anything, you have this folder that everyone has to sign off one by one, right? So the problem is we have these people signing off, so these people dictate what gets advanced ahead, right?
I've been dealing with me for 12 years. I understand.
So it's like, okay, wait a minute, we can't have this type of technology because this affects my business over here because I have shares in this business and it would definitely cripple this industry. So we're just going to have to, we're going to have to reject this. We're going to have to change the laws. We'll sneak this into this bill or this bill and make sure this gets passed because we all know they don't fucking read the fucking shit, right? And yet for some reason we keep these fucking people in office. And it's red tape after red tape after red tape. And really when it comes down to it, it's all about greed. It's all about money. It's all about power. And there is nothing else that fuels these individuals, right? Because I mean, let's just, if they really cared about humanity and stuff, like we wouldn't even have these podcasts talking about this shit, right? Because obviously the people that are in this channel, the people that are in this podcast are pretty much fucking sick and tired of this bullshit, right? Or we would not be talking about it. There would be no podcast popping up everywhere about this fucking bullshit, right?
I think we've kind of moved. Your points are valid, and I completely agree with you, and I understand exactly the mechanism you're talking about. But let's bring it all back for the group real quick that haven't been through that process and try and make it a digestible pill of information for everybody to kind of latch on some knowledge and some experience to. You've got the entity of the people that are there to generate policy and govern. You've got the stress of them having to maintain their position and status to be able to influence policy and procedure among their peers. You've got a culture or a community of technologists that are trying to advance us. That's separate from that group of policy and red tape that you're describing. But then you have to, and I think what's missing here, and I think what you're illustrating is that what's missing between those two groups is a way to interface the ideas and be understanding and sympathetic to the pressures and stress of the person you're asking to give weight and strength and traction to your technology. In out processing through the military, to give a quick recap here, all of us that have to leave the military have different departments we have to out process from medical to our fucking equipment that they signed out to us to our fucking pension. We have to go through all these steps and procedures. And you can see this very same mentality being affected in communication and in media in how policies and bills are made in government from the Congress to the Senate to House, or from the House of Representatives to the Congress to the Senate. I mean, and if any of us watch Schoolhouse Rock, I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill, and there's this whole fucking process of yes, no's that you have to go through. And then you have these influencing parties of lobbyists that push and pull the direction and course of these things that could be beneficial or unbeneficial to a market. We'll call it a market because that's really what it is. Fucking tobacco sales is a market. Alcohol is a market. Drugs are a market. Pharmaceuticals are a market. What's happening now, and I think I've talked on this before with Cruising with Steak and with the Hive, is now technology has reached a point where we have the ability to communicate with each other without days and weeks of time in between for full thought to be expressed. We can talk in real time in a group and a community. In that ability to communicate with each other in real time, we have lost the art of writing your true, fully articulated intention. Letter writing is dead.
When you read those old like World War I letters and shit, and like just old letters that they would send, like they just wrote so well. Like just there's none of that anymore.
No, I find myself writing a fucking a 25 to 30 line text message or email in 10 minutes, and then looking back on it, going, I should have taken
Delete.
minutes to reread it. Communications become so rapid and available that it has stifled our ability to fully rationally think through an idea and the implications of our idea and all of the counterpoints of that idea. To propose a truly fully articulated argumentative essay, or to fully support an idea, or to fully provide all of the facts and thought and yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but you still cannot ignore the trillions of dollars of money that has been misplaced. No accountability, corruption after corruption, layers of corruption. And if you really think that if we continue down this path, the same path we've been going down, if that's going to just, revolutionize anything in the future, I mean, honestly, if you really want this technology, then the people have to step up and say, hey, and prime example is majority of people want, as an example, cannabis to be legalized on a federal level. And yet it still remains a Schedule I drug. And why is that? I don't know.
Why is that?
Because our quotations leaders, our leaders, who are really supposed to be our fucking representatives, decide what's best for us. And somehow along the path from formation of this country, along the path, somewhere it kind of flip-flopped to where it's like, okay, the people no longer decide the powers to be or what the general direction is going to be. It's now, we leave everything into the hands of the government, right? And we just let them decide what's best for us.
Well, let's turn the paradigm for a minute. Do you think maybe it's just a perception of the community and the general average of people's education and complex critical thinking?
Well, I mean, the education, when you talk about the education, the education is institutionalized through universities and through public school systems. I mean, when you go through a public school system, for one, when you leave the public school system, you're 18 years old. You're legally able to enter into contracts with credit cards, with cell phone companies, but yet we do not train. We do not talk about contracts. We do not talk about law. Law is never discussed. The basics of fucking life, how to balance a fucking checkbook, is never fucking discussed in these public institutions. Well, why is that? Why is that?
They've even stopped teaching cursive writing.
Cursive writing.
Wait. I got a better one. They took analog clocks out of all the schools in England because the kids can't fucking read them.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That is insane. Rather than teaching them?
Yep. Rather than teaching them.
So then what does that do? That creates a brainwashed fucking consumer that gets out of high school and says, well, I better
an entitlement type of.
I better get to college. I better rack up these debts that you're never going to fucking pay off.
So now we're talking about dualities. No, you're not talking about dualities. I see dualities here. I see a duality. I see a community of people that have the understanding of the trajectory of our development, and they're taking advantage of it. But that community of individuals that are taking advantage of the trajectory of our development have fucking gone to school. Now, I've been in my industry for a long time, and I look at guys that are fresh out of school for what we do, what I do, and they're like, I'm an engineer. I understand all the specs. And I go, you don't have any fucking practical knowledge. You're an engineer. You're not a fucking technician. Technicians know the real life applications and pitfalls and risks and idiosyncrasies of the technology in which we install based on a manufacturer level and their quality of build or their user interface versus what you fucking know on a book. I think what we're seeing here and this big fucking gap of people that are taking advantage of us and our schools being adjusted and our educational syllabus being adjusted and modified in a manner that we think is not beneficial is because out of 100% of students, there's a percentage of students that don't fucking make it. And there's an even smaller margin of students, and the influences are financial, community, socioeconomical, and general initiative that don't fucking go to even junior college or college. I'm not a college graduate. I got a high school diploma. I fucked off fucking college, and I went to goddamn the military because I didn't have a pot to piss in. So we're seeing not necessarily a direct, we're going to do this to screw the 330 million of us or 300 million of us in the US. We're seeing the results of the communities and the foundation of family and the impact of technology and community on the individuals on a very big scale. I don't necessarily think the government is absolutely out to fuck us, but they're definitely opportunists. I think where a lot of the deficiencies are coming from is in fucking community and family in that model. And I think technology might actually have an effect on that.
Well, to be honest, like when you talk about the government and stuff, well, we all know the government is extremely incompetent in everything they do. I mean, you can look at the VA, you can look at Social Security Administration. These people are,
which makes it hard
obviously so fucking lazy and so fucking incompetent on getting anything done. I mean, they misplace stuff. It's just a big fucking clusterfuck. But I do believe that there is a private sector within the government, if you want to say that is well above and beyond the scope of what we know to be the basis of technology and the basis of what society could possibly be. And I think they have hoarded this type of technology. They have hoarded this stuff because, essentially it's like, if you look back into the Roswell days, the Roswell, well, it just is very convenient that at the same exact time, CIA was formed, and all this other shit was formed. And it's like, since that point of time, they have concealed and concealed and concealed. And we've been on the same this same path of staying on the same fucking type of energy, fossil fuels for this long. And it's like, well, we know UFOs are out there because we fucking see them. We have reports of them. They're there. So if the government truly doesn't know what these fucking things are, they don't talk about them. They're very secretive about it. So then what the fuck are they? Like, okay, so did they not have...
You and I both have been under fire. You and I both have been in a bomb threat. You and I both have seen what a large group of fucking individuals, highly trained, in quotes, because there's a few specific cracks that don't make it all the numbers. We have seen the spectrum of humanity and the human condition under extreme stress and conditioned to react to that stress in a specific manner. And you and I both fucking know that there's a bunch of people who are like, fuck, bro, how did you make it past the fucking selection? And then there's a bunch of people you're like, I want you on my team. We'll take that and multiply it by 300 million. Of course, there's going to be an organization or a group of people that all get together and go, all right, there's a whole lot of fucking stupid in humans in general. And by the way, all of us have the responsibility of fucking voting for them and appointing them. And by the way, through absolute subterfuge and generally how I think from Truman moving forward, who said, watch out for the military-industrial complex. There's an agenda here of continuing investing in the things that allow us to influence power and strength across the world. Even though there's the central bank, even though there's NATO, even though there's this shadow government, which there probably is a bunch of fucking people that are all good fucking friends that all have the same goddamn agenda, that are fucking the same hooker, doing the same blow, and they go, hey, we need to control this fucking mess.
Is her name Stormy?
Right idea.
Well, I mean, you can see that exactly what you're talking about. You can see that at the local level. You can see that at the local level, the county level, the municipality level of these governments and stuff. You can see it all the time. It's the fucking police force, as an example. Like the police forces. They go through military training. I know because when I go through military training, when I was in the military, they fucking train with us. They go through the same training we do. And my question is like, I just don't understand. Like, I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, it's always going to be the good old boys club. It's always going to be some type of fucking, you have to pay to play, and you have to follow these steps and these guidelines to get to. But ultimately, even if you do everything right, everything by the fucking book, when it comes down to it, it all comes down to the single fucking judge that is in that seat, signs off and says, well, I'm sorry, Mr. So-and-so, you follow the law to the T, but I just don't fucking care. And I'm just going to say that this isn't going to fucking fly.
No, I agree
Where
with
does
you.
that fucking authority come from?
Well, that's the thing. I think, okay, so being that we're both veterans, you and I both look at the world a different way, and you and I have a certain amount of camaraderie between us where we can heatedly debate about a topic and not get butthurt to the point where like, fuck you, and move on or completely shut down.
Right.
I have a lot of empathy towards the police force. I also have a certain amount of disdain. I also recognize that when I joined the military, I had a conversation with my lieutenant in basic training that really solidified in my mind where individuals stand in the group they decide. Are you leaving, Graham?
Yeah, Graham's got to go on another show. He's going on Spaced Out Radio or something.
All right. I asked a question. So I don't know if you went through the same. I bet you did, but we went through a question and answer kind of thing in the intensive indoctrination classes that you go through in basic training because it's absolutely necessary. To be honest with you, I don't want anybody but a goddamn drone that's conditioned to respond in a combat situation with America is great, let's move forward, because I don't need some overthinking fucking shooting somebody as my partner. All right. So that's my opinion on the military's indoctrination program. But there was a question prefaced to the group. It was, if you see an individual burning the American flag, how will you respond? How would you react? And all of us 18, 19, 25-year-olds got up and said, I would extinguish the flames of the flag with that individual's blood. That was generally the consensus of the room. First sergeant, platoon sergeant, command sergeant major, commander, the entire chain of command above us that is in charge of training us said, you are all fucking wrong, soldiers. Your job is to stand and defend that individual who is exercising their freedom of speech. I was floored, fucking floored. And later on in the afternoon, I ran into my lieutenant and I'm like, sir, I don't understand. I don't fucking understand how someone can deface the thing we believe in and we can't enforce our opinion of it. And he said, when you become a soldier, you are no longer a citizen. Your job is to defend the principles of our nation outside of your individual opinion and protect them, because that's what makes America great. You have the right to exercise your freedom of speech, your freedom of government, your freedom of religion. You will defend those individuals when others try to be tyrannous upon them, because that's the principles of the United States that we originally started with. Now, that may not necessarily be how we evolve, and community and media changes that, but that's what I fucking believe in. Now, understanding that level of stress, camaraderie, and responsibility, when I look at the police force, and I've been pulled over a number of times, and I've been gunpoint a number of times, it's just what happens when you get out of the military and you have to deal with cops. I've never looked at a cop and been like, you're a real cocksucker, except for two, because I understand what it means to have that responsibility. I understand what it means to have authority over an individual. And what isn't taught, or what's easily forgotten, or what easily fades under the stress, is empathy for the individual and fatigue of dealing with a large sampling of fuckheads and not recognizing the individual.
But see, that's all surface stuff. That's all surface stuff. But there's so many evidence and facts that so many cities and counties where the police force is very, very corrupt. And as an example, Flint, Michigan.
But what do you think propagates that corruption? It's understanding the community.
Well, it's liability. The problem is liability. The problem is that a lot of these people who are appointed into these offices are not held liable to for their actions. See, if a police officer wrong, and here's the thing, like, if you look at it, okay, and this is what bothers me. I know there's good police officers out there. My uncle is a state trooper, and he's a good man, but we can't ignore that there is definitely a problem here because, you can watch plenty of videos and you can see that there's a fucking problem. Okay, there is a problem because when you see someone shoot someone in the back when they're running away from you, where's the engagement, right? So if the police force is going through the military training, I don't know about you, but we were taught rules of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you don't fire your weapon unless you're being fired at. So if that's the case for us in a foreign land, then why are these standards not associated with these police forces? It seems like that some of these guys just go ahead and just shoot first and then ask questions later. And I think that is.
But you don't think that's imposed fear and a lack of understanding and empathy?
But see, this is the thing. Like, you have the physical evidence in front of your eyeballs. Look at the video evidence. If you can see a man on the ground with his hands behind his back, why is it that the police officer starts kicking him in the face? Why is he doing what he's doing? It's not a matter of whatever. I get what you're saying, dude, but when you can see with your own eyes, the proof is in the evidence.
No, I agree. There's definitely individuals.
No, I thought it was in the pudding.
Sorry.
It's in the pudding. It was in the pudding. Now the
Cosby
pudding
stole it from us, fucker.
But I get what you're saying, but there is a serious problem. There's a serious problem that needs to be addressed. And while I understand your point of view, but when you watch a video and you see a drunk individual who is obviously intoxicated, who poses no threat, and you have this gung-ho fucking ex-military police officer that says if you make one fucking wrong move, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and then that police officer gets acquitted, and that jury has never shown that video evidence, you're not. It doesn't matter what you say and what your opinion is. That is fucking wrong. That is wrong to the fucking core. It doesn't matter what you say. You can bring up whatever the fuck you want.
I hate to sound like a sympathizer here,
but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a sympathizer. When you look at the fucking video, frame by frame, and you see this police officer murder this fucking individual in front of your eyes, I don't care. There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can say.
There's no forgiveness for those actions. And no, I agree with you. And no matter what the circumstances that led up to the incident should be processed separately from what brought you there. However, not even however.
But the due process is broken. Due process is broken because that video evidence was forbidden from being placed into evidence. Why?
See, that's bullshit.
Why is that?
Right there. Yeah, why is that? Because it's obvious.
The jury is basing their facts and they're going over the facts without this video evidence. But obviously, I mean, okay, so you have a written report, you have eyewitnesses. But let's be honest here. If you have video evidence, if you have the cam footage, that tells the fucking story right there.
That tells the story of the moment, but the question
of cam footage, didn't some Vegas shooting body cam footage come out?
Yeah, it's fake.
Oh, yeah, I'm interested in that.
It's fake?
Well, it's fake. It's either fake or the crime scene photos that were leaked are fake. One of the two is fake because they don't match.
Jerry and I were on ground zero fucking deciphering those different videos on YouTube.
Dude, that was intense. We were analyzing gunshots, watching them in audio fucking waves.
Yeah, we could see that they were being broadcast.
Sean, I agree with you. I understand the importance of having a police force. I understand this. But the problem is that there's obviously a problem because people are getting, when you see the video evidence, when you see this stuff, and they get off with, they get paid leave and they don't get, I mean, some of these guys do get charged with the murder and stuff. But it has to be in the extreme, and it has to be so obvious. People have to get so fucking pissed off. And
I'm going to steamroll you. Let me steamroll, and let me say that I see where you're coming from, and I respect it, and I honor that. And I'm not going to shit. I'm not shitting on you individually, but let me try and
shitting on you collectively.
Collective.
I'm going to shit on the collective. Let me say from, and I'm speaking from my own person, and this is very selfish and narcissistic, but I'm going to preface this in a manner that makes sense and will give a little bit of reveal on who I am as an individual. I look at the situation where a cop loses his shit and is either completely racist, hold on, where a police officer acts in a line of duty and is completely prejudiced, doesn't show their bearing, doesn't show their training, and I stop and I go, okay, I get it. It's easy to say and demonize that police officer in a global forum or in a large forum because none of us know the individual. But I do want to stop and go, okay, everybody, let's take a few moments and put yourself in that person's shoes. And there's not a lot of people that can empathize or relate to the stress of knowing that every time you pull someone over, your fucking life is on the line. 1. 2, God only knows what the shifts and the responsibility to your police force has caused in your personal life and how that's affecting your ability to be rational and judgmental and objective in the moment. And then on top of that, we don't know the background of the person that brought them to the police force in the first place. I'll tell you right now, I was a degenerate. I didn't have a pot to piss, and I joined the military because I wanted to die. To give my son something to be proud of. So that's my history. I don't know what yours was. The point is the sum of an individual is what affects them in those moments. And when I look at a police force that goes, you get leave with pay, they have to take care of the individual because no matter what, and I expect the same treatment, and so do you, if we finally fucking snap and lose our shit, what fucking brought us here? What gave us the temperament to be a soldier? What gave that individual the temperament to become a police officer and face that stress and that
also
every day?
On that point, there's basically both of you could go to any police station and get a job right off the bat. They bring in dude.
Yes, and I don't. I had an opportunity to join the sheriff's department. See, here's the thing.
My IQ's
I didn't become a police officer because I know that I have PTSD. I know that I would lose my fucking temper. So I would never put myself in that position from the get-go.
But think about how many people did do that, though. You know, they need a job out of the military.
That is the problem. That is the department's problem, because we're not talking about just individual police officers. We're talking about a department. We're talking about an entire organizational problem. When you have video footage that leaks out that says that basically has audio of the police chief saying, "Let's go out there and violate people's fucking rights."
I've seen that. I've been a victim.
That's a fucking issue.
I've been a fucking victim of that. I have seen it. Point blank, first person in Milpitas, fucking California. I got stopped by a cop. He did his little fucking dick swinging game, and I'd only been home for maybe 4 or 5 months from war, and I don't give a goddamn fuck who the fuck you are at that point, because I'm a little nuts, and I was the goddamn law for a year. And he played this little game with me. I got out of my car. He made me play this little game, and I called him on shit. I'm like, bro, I'm right here. I got no weapons. What's your fucking deal? And he's like, I could put you in jail right now. I could fucking arrest you right now. I said, you know what, dude? What's your badge number? He had his badge number covered. He's like, I don't need to tell you that. I said, actually, you fucking do. Where's your watch commander? And I went down the fucking rigmarole with him. And so the way it all played out, I was parked under a streetlight in a school parking lot. I had a disagreement with my roommates. I was waiting, chilling out for my other roommate who kind of governed the whole space to show up. I'm sitting there under a street light. He drives into the parking lot and spotlights me, so I drop my visor. He's like, bring your visor up. So I bring my visor up. I play all this little fucking game, and all of a sudden he appears over here off to the right because I'm blinded by his flood lamps. And he has his hand on his gun, which that's his job. I already know that. Finally, we get through the little fucking exercise of this, that, the other thing. I get out of the car, I'm like, what's up with the fucking lights in the visor, bro? He's like, you took away my tactical advantage. And I started laughing at him. I said, your tactical advantage, do you know who the fuck I am? Do you see my license plates? They say veteran clearly on the fucking plate, and it's not my dad's fucking car. All you've done is cause me to really not like you right now, and I'm having a hard time keeping myself at bay. He's like, I could take you to jail for threatening me, threatening bodily harm. I said, I didn't threaten shit. I just told you exactly what the fuck's going to go down if you pull that weapon right now. So what's the fucking deal? We had this little exchange. 3 days later, I get a phone call from my cousin because he got his head plowed into the wall because they knew the address where I was living. They showed up, banged on the door, grabbed my little cousin underage, and smashed his fucking face against the fucking wall and played this little intimidation game. Yeah, I know about police brutality. I also understand that the area where I was living is full of gangbangers and fuckheads. So, as much as I agree, and as much as we hold ourselves to a standard, because we know the absolute sum of the potential of what we were trained to do, and some of us have actually experienced it and are scared to death of that, you have to have sympathy and empathy for the community that these people are servicing. And the community needs to actually take a closer look at what the fuck is going on among them and go, hey, these cops are under a lot of fucking stress. And yeah, I know a lot of cops that are fuckheads.
But how is that possible when the police force themselves do not practice the same empathy for the community? That's the problem. Exists. Okay, have you ever been to England?
Can I just interject for a second? I was thrown in jail for assaulting a police officer in San Luis Obispo when I was like 24.
You were asking for it.
Yeah, you probably were.
He said I grabbed his shoulder and spun him around because I wanted my car keys. Which was an absolute lie. Anyway.
Yeah, I've been in jail too. Like, I've been thrown in jail.
No, he totally lied. I wouldn't touch my car because I knew they wanted to arrest me.
That's okay.
But anyway, that's beside the point. That was just
if you ever been to England, if you ever been overseas, like those police officers are so fucking polite and nice. They wear these bright fucking uniforms. Their cars are bright. They have reflective stuff on them. They make themselves known. They're there to serve the public. They say, hey, I'm lost. I need this. I don't know where I'm at. And they're very polite. They tell you which direction to go. In the U.S. though, they they don't no markings. They hide. Intimidating. I mean, if you go back to what your story, Sean, as far as like when they came to your and pushed your underage cousin's face into the fucking wall. Now, let me ask you something. If you don't see that, and yet you sit there and you say you agree, you understand my perspective, but if you don't see that as a serious problem, like what?
It's not that I don't see it as a problem. I find that there's
but you have to separate yourself from the military point of view to the civilian point of view. Okay,
I try to look at things objectively without.
Okay, so here's the thing: like the police force should not be militarized.
The police
should not be militarized. Period.
Absolutely.
Back to the preface of where we started.
Legally, they're technically peace officers. Okay, they're never supposed to be under any type of military anything. Period.
Peace officers with tanks.
I think there's a lot of levels, and I'm speaking from and playing the devil's advocate of one. So overall preface or overall explanation of my position. There are definitely departments of police officers that are taking advantage of the community and the environment and feel like they're God. Abso-fucking-lutely. But there are definitely individuals in those organizations even that are trying their damnedest to be virtuous and civil servants of the community. And sometimes the influence of those that are fucked off ruin their lives and their careers. Let me state that up front. That's what I fucking believe.
Jerry, hold on. Sean, I'm sorry. This is an emergency right now. I'm sorry. Jerry, is that woman wearing a skirt full of used condoms?
Yes.
Man. Okay, continue, Sean. Sorry.
No, it's completely fine.
That's an emergency.
When I see an individual cop who acts out and does something terribly, well, let's talk about three archetypal psychologies that I believe in that are good, strong outlines to draw on, and you just have to find the individuals that fit that box. And not everybody fits in those boxes, but they're pretty good archetypes. You've got you've got Reich, Wilhelm Reich, who says that man is fundamentally good. No, I'm sorry, that's Locke. You have Locke, who says man's fundamentally good. So anything and everything they do is in the intentions of doing good in their community, their world, or in their own self-interest, but it's still to do good. You've got Hobbes, who says man's fundamentally evil and will always act selfishly and in a manner that is not necessarily beneficial to the community around them, but only to themselves and the people who benefit them. But then you've got Wilhelm Reich. You've got Reich, who says tabula rasa, man is born a blank slate and is influenced by the community and the environment around them, and the experiences they have and how they experience those things, and how those experiences are explained to them for them to rationalize and move forward. So you've got three prevailing ideas that are considered complete fucking archetypes in psychology. Man's bad, man's good. We just fucking adapt to the environment we're in. And I don't think that any one individual mindset is completely fucking right. I think that's just three fucking paths that we go on. I think Reich has the right idea that we're born a blank slate and we adapt to our environment. But then there's individuals that are born in a fucked situation that are just genuinely good, virtuous fucking people, and in all adversity do their best. And then there are people that are born in the best of circumstances and in the best communities and with the right influences, and they're complete fuckheads.
Well,
didn't they make that choice to come here though? Isn't that their soul contracts?
I understand, but
I didn't want to muddy the water.
I don't want us to like hijack the shit show here. Like,
I think
too fucking late for that.
I think
you guys have been going
way too late.
I mean,
it's been like an hour and a half. I don't even know what you're talking about.
This is what happens when you have two military guys on the same.
Jared's like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Dude, James is
trying to rationalize.
This is the hive.
But no, it's good. It's good. I'm glad that we can talk about this and not say fuck you back and forth, because I do feel that while you agree that there is an issue and I agree that there's good cops out there, but we can both agree that there is definitely a problem that needs to be addressed, and that the only way that issue is going to be addressed is that if we step up and start coming up with solutions to address these issues, because obviously our politicians, people that we point into office, are not capable of doing that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in now.
Yes, absolutely. And it is our responsibility with the medium we now have to communicate amongst ourselves to not silo ourselves to this community of podcasters, of YouTube conspiracy theorists. Let's not sit in a vacuum chamber. Personally, my contribution to the group around me that doesn't give two shits about the podcasts and people that I know, or the YouTube videos I watch, or my general fucking opinion of life, but are a part of my community, when I am dealing with those individuals, instead of being judgmental and harsh, I try to be objective and understanding of that individual. I try to understand through trial and error when I share my opinion or when I react to them, how they respond. And I use that as a roadmap to understand the life they've led and the experiences they've had. And I don't want to be that person in my friends' lives that they go, he's got an opinion, because we all have those friends. We all have that one friend that has absolute authority to be like, oh, you're suicidal? Well, that's fucking stupid, and you're a fucking idiot, and I don't agree with that. Then you have those friends that have contemplated suicide and go, hey, shit sucks. We got to get through this. Let's talk. Let's just let me listen. Then you have those friends that go, oh, you want to commit suicide? Well, tell me everything. And then they go and make a phone call, and then you end up in a box for 30 days for an evaluation. That's a very hot topic. I don't want to be that friend. I want to be a part of the people around me, and I want to be the one of many, and I want many others to follow and going, hey, shit's fucked up. Let's work through it. You've got a problem, or hey, I don't agree, but I see where you're coming from, because in a lot of cases, we're just cucumbers with anxiety trying to find a clan that we belong to.
Well, the main thing is like
Cats hate cucumbers.
I know.
Yeah,
the main thing
Have you seen those videos?
is love, light, pursuit of truth and knowledge, and through that process, um, understand and open your mind to every avenue possible, even if it sounds extremely insane. You know, there's always going to be uh, truths within falsehoods and stuff. You can pick and choose what you feel the truth is, and you can put those pieces together, and and it's always good to look at both sides of the story, and that's including with, I do agree with, circumstances surrounding um police shootings and stuff. There's always two sides of a story, but we have to acknowledge that there is an issue. We have to acknowledge that if we do not address these issues, that it's going to um, escalate further, to the pretty much to the point where it's going to be um, us versus them, and Americans killing Americans, and we definitely do not want to go down that path.
And that's what I'm terrified of. And that's what I think is lacking. And I think it's a direct result or a symptom of the technology. It's a symptom of the media. It's a symptom of the community. It's a symptom of the family model. I think there are a lot of things that are going to happen that are going to be really shitty before we get to a point of utopia. And I think with every advancement of technology, and I'm not demonizing technology, I'm just saying that the human psyche has to evolve with the technology, but it's happening so fast. And I think there is a communal influence. I mean, shit, dude, I'm 34. My son's going to be 19.
Nomad.
I'm 34 fucking years old, and I'm just starting to get an inkling of a fucking clue. And I look back on my life of just so many
Babies making babies.
Babies making babies, right?
Yes.
And I go, well, fuck.
But that's almost over. We're entering into the children of men era, where we're not going to have kids anymore. Have you seen the sperm counts have lowered by like half in Western men over the last 10 years?
I really think there's an influence. I think there's probably a genetic thing that we're not privy to, but I think it's a part of the genome, just like recognizing resources. Well, that too. I mean, I don't know.
Dogs. It's the dog generation.
No, I mean, Jerry's correct. Like, the sperm count, could very well be associated with, well, I mean, obviously being in the military, that when you're subjected to certain frequencies and stuff, like certain satellites and stuff, at least for me, when we worked in certain areas that had certain satellite frequencies, they told us that, they specifically told us that we need to power down these satellites so you don't become sterile.
Well, right.
Right. So, I mean, when they were constantly bombarded with all these frequencies, 3G, 4G, and now soon to be 5G, all around us. And that could very well be, like, I don't know if there's any studies out there, like the effects of 5G on sperm count or whatnot, on cellular activity, but that would be definitely an interesting thing to look into, because
any of those microwave emissions have not been studied enough by science to put out any kind of definitive yes or no, it's good or bad. I mean, it's just starting to leak out now that EMF from cell phones is bad. Can you imagine when they study 5G, 10 years from now, what the impacts will have been by then?
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean,
unless
like
it's being deployed just to kill the Nephilim, like, Kent Dunn said.
Well, I mean,
oh, I still gotta book him. I keep forgetting.
we know that 5G operates on a much shorter wavelength. We know that ELF, which is extremely low frequency, operates primarily on the same frequencies as brainwaves. Because brainwaves operate on ELF frequencies.
What's ELF?
Extremely low frequency.
Extremely low frequency.
Extra low, I think.
ELF.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
either extremely or extra. It could be extra low. If it's extra low, that could be a Mandela thing. Because I do definitely remember extremely low frequency.
It's extremely low.
There's no such thing as.
Oh man, try telling Smokey that. He'll set you straight.
It is extremely. I'm wrong.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like you're correct. Like these studies would, and even if they would publish these studies in the future, you know, I mean, who's to know? Who's to say that they don't have studies out now that are classified, you know, and you can't have access to them.
But who's going to read them?
That's true
There's
too.
so
there's
much
no-
out there
right,
that's
exactly.
available to read
I'm
that
looking.
people don't read.
I'm looking at this thing right now. The effects of extremely low frequency magnetic fields on melatonin and cortisol, 2 marker rhythms of the circadian system. You know, this is from 2012. I've never read this. I just found it. Can you imagine
There's
what's out
tons
there?
of stuff from universities, and
Mhm.
there's just a shitload available
But is
to read.
that the fault of our public education system? Like
Partially,
because
they're producing
I mean,
people
if
who
you're-
don't critically think.
right. So I mean, if you're not aware that there's publications, if you're not aware of these things, then I mean,
If you're
granted-
not aware, you're not likely going to read it.
well, that's
I mean,
true.
it's people that are aware of stuff that
I mean,
go
that's-
seek things out.
That's true, but at the same time, it is a responsibility for our educators to bring this stuff to light to our youth. Because I mean,
No, that's not their job. Their
Mm-mm,
job is
it's
to
not their
maintain the
job.
test scores to the level where they
Right.
continue to get funding from the government.
Common Core.
I
It's
don't-
all about money.
No, it's got nothing to do with Common Core. It's got to do with the teachers keeping the kids at a level where they continue to receive funding.
Well, I mean, you know, if you guys want, I have a few friends that are educators who do teach in public schools. I mean, if you ever wanted to like talk to them or interview them, because they definitely have a different perspective than most of us, as far as
That's
Because they
too
want to keep
serious.
their jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Common Core is
And
bad.
me and my niece is a teacher.
Common
No, I
Core is
mean,
bad on its own, Leo.
I have friends who are teachers who bash Common Core. He said it's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
Yeah, it is
You know,
bullshit.
I mean, when you have teachers that say, you know, they're not allowed to teach what they really want to teach.
The truth.
You
Yeah,
know,
the
they
truth.
get passed down this format that,
Curriculum,
yeah,
That
and that they have
doesn't
to
require
follow.
you to generate an answer. It's all multiple choice, even in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I went to high school, I remember we had a bank. We had a I think we had a Kroger store. We had a robotics team. We had a bunch of shit like going on that taught like real life, real shit, contracts and stuff, like how to do accounting and
Is that a private
I re-
school?
I was gonna say, where the
No,
fuck
it
was
was-
that?
it was a public school
Nice.
Where?
in
What
Louisville,
state?
Kentucky. In Louisville, Kentucky.
Blue of it.
Wow, Kentucky, I think, was one of
Yes.
the states that was lowest. Like they spent the least amount of money on their kids
Well,
back
here's the thing.
in like 2008.
Like we had a robotics team that was partnered with General Electric. We worked with GE engineers, and we had firsthand knowledge of like building robots and competing in tournaments with US First, which is for inspiration and recognition of science technology. We had a bank that was managed by the students themselves. We had accounting. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on, and I remember like when I graduated, which was the year 2000. And I remember when I went back to the school a couple years later because I wanted to, see my teachers. We're still there. All that went away. It was like as soon as we graduated, it was like after the
What year did you
2000.
graduate?
2000.
Oh, 2000. Okay.
Yeah, it was like after I graduated, like a few years later, it's like all those
Yeah, they started
vanished.
getting
all
rid of
disappeared.
everything. Then like 2000 and I think it was around 2008. Like they just
Yeah, they got rid of
Everything
the robotics.
stopped.
They got rid of
they got
the
music, art.
bank. Yeah, and in fact, like I remember, like in my art class, we had a dark room. we had a dark room that I was in, like, because I was on the yearbook staff, and I mean, they had everything. They had everything, like anything you wanted to do, and they had. And like now, like if I go back now, it's like first you got to press a button, get buzzed in,
You
and
got to be on the list, though.
yeah, you got to be on the list. And they don't have anything. Nothing's there
Like a
anymore.
nightclub.
Like it's all gone.
I know, because they've got to worry about those fucking test scores. That's it. They don't have time for that extracurricular crap.
And
The
that's
stuff
sad.
that really makes
That's sad
kids
because-
think and gets them excited.
My kids went to public school, and what I noticed is they kept losing their non-curriculum classes. Like the art class got cut, and like a dance. I think they had a dance class that got cut, and foreign languages were getting cut down. The stuff that was non-essential and not part of the curriculum this was back when it was the No Child Left Behind shit, the Bush era education, which did mandate that the school maintains a certain
98.
test level, right? And the whole second half of the year was spent preparing the kids to take this test. So think back like the Iowa test of basic skills. Remember that test, Suzanne? So they have a similar test like that, or did when my kids were in school, that they took every year, and they do the first 6 months, first whatever 2 semesters or whatever were regular school, and then like the rest of the year they just practiced for that stupid test so they could pass to get their funding. That's not learning.
Yep.
That is not learning.
Nope.
And that was my issue with school, with the public school.
It's not.
Yeah, and it's as an example, like my younger cousins who are like 11, 12, in that range and stuff, they don't have a lot of hands-on type activities in conjunction with their classes like chemistry and stuff. So I send them every month. I send them the Mel's chemistry lab kit, that they have some type of like hands-on something. Because I know like when I had chemistry, I had AP chemistry in high school. I think there was like 10 of us in the class. I mean, it was 10 of us. That was it. And it was all chalkboard. It was all theory. It was all book. There was we had a few labs, but there was really nothing, nothing that engaged you as far as like mixing shit together, learning, like when you discuss like the mole and stuff, and you talk about the periodic table and stuff. There's really nothing to coincide that with, actual practical fucking, you visually see reactions in front of your eyes. There's really nothing there. So yeah, I mean, a lot of these kids are, and we know like kids are fucking ADD as shit, but it's not because they're ADD. It's just because they're kids, and they need constant fucking engagement. They need someone. They need to be out there in the world and be like, okay, so this math is out.
What if the cell tower stuff, the EMF radiation and all the Wi-Fi, the proliferation of that has made kids more ADD, especially in schools?
I mean, it's possible.
It definitely has.
It's possible. I mean, I try to go back and think like I was a kid, like, and try to compare and contrast like between like my younger cousins. Like, well, if I was I this hyper like when I was a kid? I don't know. Like I was a loner. Like I kept to myself. I didn't really converse with other people. Like, I was an observer. I just watched and learned as much as I could. I mean, yeah, I did have classmates that were bouncing off the walls and stuff, but they never got drugged, and they were never given like drugs or anything back then. It was just, oh, okay, this is his personality, and we're just, we'll have to be more engaged with this student. Because you do have different personalities. You have kids that are more artistic versus more kids who are analytical. And unfortunately, you combine all those kids together and you treat them the same. And I think that's where the problem is. And you're right, like with the arts and stuff.
Everyone's
like
different. You're right.
There's not a balance. There's not a balance with arts and hands-on stuff anymore. No.
No, they're teaching nonsense. So you're completely unprepared. It's crazy. But I forgot what I was going to say now.
Gotta love indoctrination.
What's up, Nomad?
What's up, dude?
Not shit. I'm just thinking right now, something was said like 20 minutes ago about sound or vibrations. And my head's been thinking, like, I wonder if there's been a study on, like, you know, when the cicadas come out and they fucking emit those high-pitched frequencies. I wonder if that affects us that way. We don't know about it.
It activates our 12-strand DNA.
It's awesome you just said that, because I was just talking to my girlfriend about the peepers outside. And
those
like,
aren't cicadas, though. Frogs.
Yeah, right. But there's so many of them that it is a constant ringing, even with the windows and doors shut.
They definitely do affect your ADR.
And I was thinking, like, if someone hated the sound of that, they'd be freaking out.
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
Sorry.
Awesome.
That's a film thing. Like,
people with the window open.
It affects, like, when you do filming and stuff, like, they're the biggest fucking nuisance.
I bet.
You have to,
just
like,
have gas poison everywhere and kill everything within a 2-mile radius.
What we have to do
is one way to do it.
We have to shoot if we do filming on like woods during the summer when they're highly active, we have to shoot our audio on very, very low settings so that we can amplify the vocals and kind of drown the cicadas out.
You know what I realized, Leo, that you when you were on our intro the other day, you called out and shouted out all these podcasts, but didn't say anything about your film production crew that you do and films you do.
I don't like that. I don't like to be narcissistic.
You just called out all these other shows.
Yeah, I know, but the other shows I called out, I truly do appreciate. I'm saying, like, they're really good shows. I try to stay on subject, like, you know, my podcast and stuff is like horror and genre film, and I just don't want to be that person, be like, hey, yeah, by the way, check out my podcast at soandso.com. You know, I just don't want to be that guy.
Man.
So I'm not here to do that. I'm here to network with you guys and talk about another passion of mine besides film, and that is, you know, what we're doing here.
Yeah, and cryptocurrencies.
Awesome.
How's Bitcoin doing?
Oh God.
I went there. No.
Well, I can tell you, like, Litecoin is pumping pretty fucking good right now, and
Phil, do you still have Litecoin? No, you dumped everything.
He doesn't have Litecoin. He has Electronium. That's about it.
That's some real fucked up one that I don't know what it is, but I got a tip that it would go up and it didn't. So now I gotta hold it until it goes up. Yep. That's what it is. Stupid. That's what that is. Just stupid.
Rumor has it the Bulls are back in town, but we'll see.
The Bulls are back in town?
The Bulls are back
like
in town.
95, 96 Bulls, like with Jordan, you talking, or what's going on right now?
No, not that good, Grimsby.
Maybe. We'll see in a couple of weeks. We'll see what happens. And the interesting thing, like, of course, Jerry got me. He introduced this YouTube channel, JSnip, and this guy, he uses psychics and remote viewing techniques for some of these cryptocurrencies, and I find it fascinating because there's one segment. He talks about this one kid who is a supposed psychic that talks about Litecoin pumping between May 3rd and May 9th. And I specifically told a friend of mine before that May 4th, between May 4th and May 10th, is when you should definitely be investing in Litecoin prior to those dates. So for me, it's kind of like, there's a connective like consciousness that gets projected out there, and it's like, for example, like when I have an ideal about a film, it's almost like a race to be the first to get it produced, right? Because it's like when we came out with our short film about the Uber driver killer, literally the same exact time someone was making a feature film, and our short film was called Ride, R-I-D-E, and then at the same exact time someone was making a film about the same story. Their film was Ride, R-Y-D-E.
Oh man.
And it's crazy, man. It's like you project your thoughts out to the ether, and it's like it's up for grabs. You know what I'm saying?
Ether. Wait, we need to do an It's the Ether in memory of James Cruz.
Yeah, where is he?
James is grounded. I think he's gonna have to be kicked off the podcast for a month. So I might
no.
co-host.
No. What?
The ether.
No, he got a little wild on Cinco de Mayo, and we all know James's issues.
Oh no.
Yeah, so he's we were supposed to do a shit show tonight, and he was not able to attend. Some tequila or something, I'm assuming.
He didn't go out to drink, did he?
Oh man, yeah. His texts were I couldn't even understand his texts when he was sending them to me. It was bad. He's like, I'm laid out. I'm like, all right, man.
Well, I mean, he's been how many months or how many weeks?
Dude, he's been fucking, it's been since August, I want to say. And
but I mean, what was the issue? Like, he stopped drinking because,
well, I mean, he's not here. I don't really want to talk about him, but
it was issues with drinking. That's all.
Yeah,
the issue with drinking. Okay, so he stopped, and
then
he started drinking again today.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's doing good.
No, okay. No, I think I remember him telling me. So yeah, I understand.
We're all gonna have
He's gone over it in the podcast like a million times too. He's talked about it. So,
but I mean, it
happens, man. It's summertime.
Sometimes you have to let loose, man.
Yeah, and once it gets,
especially on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, dude. But once it starts getting warm out, that's when you want to drink. Like, it's just.
Yeah, but he's not even Mexican, so isn't he like culturally appropriating?
Dude, this whole country, Cinco de Mayo is a culturally appropriated holiday. Like, what do you mean?
Sorry to all the Mexican people. I love you.
Dude, we love everybody. That's what we do.
Well, hey, I mean, at least we have Crypticon, right?
We do have Crypticon. Jerry's not here. Let's do a segment.
Hey, Grimstick. You have 2 weeks to go. You ready to go or what?
I don't want to talk about it.
Fuck, man.
Cruzin would stay.
You're gonna fail, aren't you?
She said,
teach me on a computer.
Cruzin would stay.
Anybody got any tech news?
The tech guy is not here.
Just taking over his show.
Well, it was originally supposed to be.
It was Grim's show.
So
I'm like, Jerry, are you really streaming this on Hive? He's like, yeah.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't mean for me and Sean to.
No, it's fine. That's what.
No, man, it's cool.
Shit shows and hives are all about.
Yep, that's
as long as Sean's okay.
But as far as like technology news, I don't know any right now.
Oh, okay, I got a good one.
Cryptocurrency.
I know you guys all have.
Art and fashion segment. Art and fashion. Cruising with slick fashion. Certified flip-flop jingle. I'm talking Mona Lisa wearing bell bottoms and Picasso wearing Chango jeans and Jerry's t-shirt mail. Fails paintings for sale. On a computer and Grim says needs art for his sweetheart. Art and fashion said.
So what's new in the worlds of arts and fashion, guys?
Wait, where did Phil or where did
Everyone.
where did Cliff go? Like disappeared.
He's been here, Certified Cliff Wall. He's been here the whole time, but he's been in the shadows.
Oh wait, yeah, there is. Okay, I see him.
I know.
He's probably working on a sweet cut right now.
And Alex has joined us too. Welcome, Alex. Thumbs up.
What's up, guys?
Hi, Alex.
Hey, how's it going?
You have any
Yeah.
tech news?
Yeah,
No,
you
we're on
tagged-
fashion.
No, we're not. We're
We're on
past tech.
fashion.
Oh fuck
Okay,
it. Do you
thank
have
you,
any
guys.
arts and
Art.
fashion news?
Well, hey,
You guys talked about Tesla stock. Tesla maybe in a bankruptcy situation.
I don't
So a lot of
believe
people are shorting Tesla right now. I just found out about this. I'm really bullish on Tesla. I think they're gonna last. So I might actually buy some Tesla if it drops a lot.
This could just be a move for a bunch of fucks to make a lot of money.
you already know what I'm gonna say.
What are you gonna say? I
Buy
don't.
Bitcoin.
Fuck the
Buy
stocks.
crypto.
Invest in crypto.
Invest in
Crypto.
crypto. Once Leo becomes a crypto billionaire, we're all made. Everything's fine. We'll have our commune.
If I would have, yeah, I mean, if I would have held my prior thousands of Litecoin and Bitcoin in the past, yeah, I would be a billionaire right now. So I missed the first wave, the second wave. I'm trying not to miss the third wave. I'm hanging on by a thread right now.
Learn your lesson. Third time's the charm.
Learn
You
your
got
lesson.
this.
That's all you can
Right.
do. Learn from your mistakes.
I have a serious problem with crypto. And I love crypto, by the way. I bought a Bitcoin shirt with Bitcoin in 2014. That shirt was probably now, that amount of Bitcoin was, I don't know, $300, $400 right now. But I originally saw Bitcoin as it's going to take over the payment networks. It's going to be actually utilized as cash and be a real competitor for Venmo, PayPal, cash on the street. It's going to be quick. People are going to be trading it. What I see, though, is that Bitcoin becomes less useful the higher the value it is because of the high transfer costs to sell or to trade Bitcoin.
Mr. Alex, I'm gonna introduce to you a coin called Litecoin. And Litecoin.
Please school me. I know a little bit about
Litecoin. Litecoin is a fork of Bitcoin back in the day, and Litecoin
Another Bitcoin school or crypto schooling.
It's I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
But here's the thing: when you say use cases and stuff, there was a transaction for $99 million on the Litecoin network that took less than, I think, was it 2 minutes, and the transaction fee was 40 cents. Now, I'm telling you that is huge, and that's huge in many ways, because not only because of how fast it was in processing that transaction, but because if you're a large investor, if you have millions and millions of dollars in investments, you're telling me you wouldn't take advantage of that 40 cents to transfer $99 million? When traditional investments, you would get fucking nickel and dime all over the place.
I think raped is the proper term.
Yeah, raped, exactly.
Can I play you guys a little song I'm working on?
Go
Just
for it.
coming out of nowhere.
That's what I was waiting for. Go for go for it.
It's kind of like a
We were
somber
all
kind
stalling
of
for you.
Yeah, thanks for waiting. There goes. Gonna come through. Tell me if you hear it.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty basic.
It's pretty basic.
Probably go beat me about wet in the bed. Pretty basic.
I wish I didn't wet my bed so much. There you go.
Like
There you go.
Mi-Ray Do kind of thing to it.
It's got a good Me Ray dough.
It's got a beat.
Like
You can
You
dance
just gotta
to.
add you gotta turn it into a dubstep song and add a drop after like 20 seconds.
Eventually.
Can you explain that in English, please?
A drop is like, you got the build up.
These fucking kids and their hippity hoppity these days.
When I was a kid, a hippity hoppity was a toy.
A lot of that stuff is like, isn't it like just like vocal snippets that they just like the little like skittish sound, like as they take like a vocal sample and then they just like chop it up into millions of pieces and then
That's BitTorrent.
Yeah.
BitTorrent.
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
We're on the arts and fashion segment right now. I played the jingle, so you got anything?
I didn't think you were actually going to keep a show because James was gone.
No, I didn't. You were gone, and things started to lull. So
he had some music.
It's the ether.
It's the ether.
Let's see, where did Phil go?
Phil's still here.
Phil's the painter. I mean, hey Phil, do you have any new artwork you're working on?
Any new artwork?
He's not listening.
Phil?
I could play Scarborough Fair on Ocarina.
That's okay.
No, don't do it. Thank you, though. You sure?
You sure?
Oh man, I actually got another email from Songbird Ocarinas. I gotta check those out. There's some sweet ones on there sometimes.
Get the double one.
A dubstep.
The one that
Ocarina.
lights up. You get your chopsticks. Chinese food. Are you appropriating
Thai
Chinese
food.
food?
Thai. I've never heard of Celtic Rebel, Iowa. Is it a group? Representation. What's patient? Dead air.
Wait, you guys recording?
Yeah, we're streaming live.
Oh,
streaming live right now.
I don't have any art or fashion news.
Let me think.
To contribute right now. I mean, I could be. Well, we did recently come out with a new short film that was a callback to the '80s.
Nice.
They utilized the Sony Walkman
as a prop.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's pretty cool. You know, it's a micro short. Wasn't very long. It's more of a. I think it's a. We're going to use it as a new intro to our podcast because our podcast intro has been. It's a few years old, and we kind of want to mix it up a little bit.
Is there a theme or is it like an underlying message?
Yeah, always watch your back. There's always someone sneaking up on you. Never know who it is.
Could be yourself.
Dogman, it could be Bigfoot. Could be the smiley face killer. No.
Crazy, creepy clowns.
Killer.
Could be clowns, yeah.
Could be Florida Man.
Could be yourself.
It's
saying
always
the back of your
Florida
head.
Man.
It could be Florida Man, yeah.
could be yourself seeing down the universe until it like wraps around and then you see it at the back of your head.
Yeah, could be. Could be.
Is that short on your channel?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they released it like last week. I didn't have any I wasn't able to be there, unfortunately, but it's just like, it's really short. It's really, really short. It's just like a little
sneakers.
Pretty basic.
Yeah, sneakers is what it was.
Pretty basic. This is pretty basic.
I'm still trying to finish the script for the Black Eyed Kids one. And man, it's been hard. It's been hard writing this script.
Black Eyed Kids is that's
well, I mean, the thing is, like, I want to kind of I've been procrastinating on it, but for good reason. Like, I have a location ready. I have the kid actors ready to go. Problem is in the script, like, I want to do like a twist. But I don't know which direction, like how I want to perform that, if that makes sense.
How about
sort of like a time slip? I want to do like a time slip, but I don't, because there's other films out there with Black Eyed Kids, but it's all very cliche,
It could be a incest twist.
Oh God!
Ooh,
they go on into infinity, generations of incest, and that's where the kind of Black Eyed Kids come into play. And
But just to keep it clean, you can use stepmothers and stepkids.
That makes it better. Okay.
Well, I am beyond, like, besides the Black Eyed Kids, like, is I want to have a bigger budget for this one, and the reason why is because I want to put a little bit more special effects in the camera work when dealing with this. Now, as far as like the black eyes and stuff, like, I've talked with special effects artists that I've worked with in the past, and they said the best method is blackouts. Blackout contacts. So basically what it does is it covers your entire iris, but it leaves the pupil open so you can still see.
Covers the sclera.
Yeah.
Sclera.
Pretty much.
Justice.
The issue with that is I'm not sure, like, because when you're dealing with kids, when you have like contacts like that, if they're not used to them, you have to get them used to it before you start shooting. Because if anyone's ever been behind the scenes of like shooting stuff, you know that you're going to have multiple takes, and that even with a short film, you're going to be there pretty much all day, possibly more than one day doing it. So I'm trying to work that out, but there is a couple more ideas I have. One that involves like a new age conspiracy type short film mixed with a little bit of sci-fi. Jerry kind of gave me a little bit of a basic synopsis in that direction.
Does that have vampires involved in
I
it?
don't know a lot about that whole vampire stuff. Like, I mean, I know what you're saying. Yeah, like, it's the ether.
Chakras.
What did I give you?
Well, you're talking about like the telescope stuff, like the how do you not remember what you told me? Like, help me out here, man. Like, I've been drinking, like,
Because I don't remember jack shit, pretty much.
Jesus Christ. Well,
if you just remind me, you can tell me later. It's cool. I get it.
It isn't necessarily this, but it's a, I wouldn't say similar concept, but it's more like I'll basically give you the basic synopsis.
No, I don't want you to have to tell me. Tell me later.
You know what? I'll tell you in the film. How about that?
There you go.
Boom.
I'll give you the story through motion picture.
I would love that.
Oh, it's not a flip book? I thought it was a flip book endeavor.
You're a flip
book. You gotta go real fast. Awesome.
You guys do the tech segment?
We could.
Go for it.
Segments?
Go for it.
Wait, no, we did play the tech jingle.
Oh,
that was the first time I played. Nobody had any tech news.
Oh,
wait, did you?
I think they need a political news segment jingle.
Political? Cruz mistake doesn't really get political.
Time to.
Fuck politics.
Well, usually when it does, it goes down multiple rabbit holes.
Yeah, it's always conspiracy related. I don't want to get political. But
how about health food segment?
What, you got some health food news?
I did have the eBay story from earlier that you guys never let me tell.
Oh, tell it.
Wasn't the right segment.
I know.
Let's hear it.
All right, it's going to be long-winded, but I haven't ordered off eBay in a while, and I ended up ordering just a used iMac, 27-inch iMac.
Mm-hmm.
And this place is out of New Jersey, and he's a seller out of New Jersey, and he has a store. It's called like Tech Stop USA in New Jersey.
Sounds pretty legit.
Yeah, sounds legit. I lost 2 nights of sleep over it, thinking that this guy was gonna like scam me and take my money, and thought he was like playing like psychological games with like these little messages he was sending me, and
were they codes?
No, it was just very like worrisome. So he's like, the reason I wanted the computer is because it's like good price, and there's all this awesome like editing software on it. So there's like, you know, music editing, picture editing, movie editing, all on this huge iMac. And the software that was on it was like $400, $500 worth of software, plus like a decent computer. I mean, it's like 7 years old, whatever. But
I don't think you'll be able to upgrade that software. Because
I don't know if I'll ever need to.
Well, if it's got bugs, you'll need to. But if they have new versions and stuff, you'll be able to upgrade to them if your iCloud account doesn't match the purchasing.
It's like licensing issues. I knew I might run into stuff like that, but I hope it doesn't have any like issues like that. But for the first things first, like I ordered the computer, and you know the money comes out of your account, and you're sitting there, and you're like, okay, he hasn't even shipped it off, and it had all these specs that I liked.
It's like buying drugs; you never know what you're going to get.
Oh,
yeah.
But then what happened? He's like, "Oh, I tried this computer and I didn't really feel good about it. There were some glitches, so I'm not going to send it off. I have something that has a little less processing power, but it's just about the same software. I'm going to send it off to you." Or he goes, he says he's going to do that. He's like, "Is that okay?" And I go, "I guess." I kind of like went back and forth, and all of his communication to me was in just kind of like text typing. You know, he's like a business guy. You know, you would think that he would like have good grammar and this and that, but everything had like no capital letters, and
just your grammar Nazi in him.
Sort of. If you're like selling computers and you have like a store, I would think
be professional. Come on, be professional.
Capital letters, periods, punctuation.
Hey, Cliff, what do you edit your music on? What software?
I'm using like Logic Pro now. Well,
have you ever used DaVinci Resolve?
Never heard of it.
It's through Blackmagic. They have it's you can get a free copy of it, but you can do video and audio.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we use to edit our films, both the audio.
Resolve.
Yeah, DaVinci Resolve, and it's pretty cool, man. Check it out if you ever get a chance. You can mess with it. But we do a lot of our ADR, our audio.
Okay.
When we splice stuff, we use that as well because you can do both video and audio. You can do like the pitches and the ranges, and it has like automated audio synthesizers and cleaners and stuff.
Okay. Well, let me get back to my story. There's more to it. So he tells me there's like this like less processing power computer, and then I ended up going, all right, and he's like, I'll cut a little money off it and I'll upgrade the RAM, this and that. And so I go, all right. And then like the next night he sends me another message saying, oh, just your luck, another one came in just like the first listing. So it's just like he had all the perfect things to say. And I like I said, I had like 2 nights of just like not being able to kind of fall asleep because I'm thinking like, oh man, why did I like pull the trigger on this thing and send my money off to this unknown guy? And so I'm looking for a storefront on Google Street and can't find a storefront. His address on like their Facebook page for this place is like the address is just Highway 46. And then on other social media that they have, like it would just say highway and it wouldn't say 46. Like these little things were just making me think this is just a big scam. And, you know, the photos he has are kind of like stock looking photos of Apple computer chargers and these iMacs. And in the background, conveniently, you can kind of see their Tech Stop USA in the back. And I was thinking, this is just some stock photo that this guy pieced together and put in his on his page. So he says he has the good one that's almost exactly like the original listing. So he says, I'll send it off. And I go, all right, awesome. And then it ends up showing up. And I didn't think this computer was ever going to show up. And I called like eBay and said, hey, this seems kind of fishy. I don't know if I'm going to get this computer. I just want to let you guys know before it happens, just to kind of cover myself. And they have like a money back guarantee thing if like the sellers don't.
You didn't wait long enough though.
What do you mean?
They won't deal with you until you get to a certain point in the transaction, like weeks after.
I just wanted to like cover. I don't do the eBay much. I just wanted to kind of have
do that eBay's.
And all his feedback seemed generic. He had like 80 plus feedbacks, and one or two were kind of sketchy. Someone saying like, "Oh, the listing didn't match up," or "What he gave me didn't work," and that just like scared me, and I was just scared.
Sketchy, man.
Yeah, but then I ended up getting the computer, and it was in a nice box, and
nice. Everything worked out. And that guy didn't use capital letters.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just weird. Though I couldn't find his. Oh, here's another thing. I've been wanting to kind of mention this too. Is there was no storefront. I couldn't find it on Google Street or whatever. And right next to the place where it should have been, there was a Primerica.
Primerica?
I don't know what this Primerica is, but it sounds like Primerica.
This sounds pretty awesome.
So that's my story, and I can here. I'll show you real quick. I got this giant ass computer over here now. Not that one. That one.
Oh, nice.
This one right here. It's huge.
Computer. It's pretty huge.
It's like 27.
How much was it?
Inch. It was like $800.
For what?
Like
what kind of hard drive and stuff?
It's the startup disk. I think is like a solid state, and then I don't know if like the storage is like a hard. So there's like two different types of hard drives in it, I think. That makes sense?
Yeah, totally.
And then there's like
one for storage and one for the system.
And then there's it's like an i7
cool
quad core, and I think that's pretty powerful, yeah.
Pretty rad.
16 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how much RAM. That's perfect. It should be pretty fast.
Yeah, it's so fast.
So fast.
It's just so fast.
Me love you long time. So fast.
You have Pro Tools or anything?
No, just that Logic Pro, and I think that'll suffice for like kind of what I do, and I kind of know GarageBand a little, so it's like a step up from it, so it's pretty.
I have a clone of GarageBand that I cannot figure out. I mean, I figure it out, but I can't make music.
Do you have like a MIDI keyboard?
No. I have a glove.
Yeah. Or do you have one of those jam sticks?
No, I got a glove. I got a programmable glove. Somewhere. I'd like to get a jam stick. Did you see that? I sent you a link to those.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
They're expensive as fuck, though, for MIDI guitar.
Is it there's actual strings on it, though?
Yeah.
That's strange.
And it has, I think 7 and 12 frets are the two versions.
So Jerry, I think I'm at that fucked up enough point. What's all this talk about the event?
I don't know. It's the same shit that started in 2015.
Isn't that a miniseries on NBC?
Yeah, I think so. It's the same stuff that started in 2015 about some kind of wave of energy from the galactic center that's going to upgrade people's DNA.
Similar to 2012.
Was that? I don't know. I wasn't around back then. Was that the story?
Some kind of world-changing event.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I'm confused. Is
Don't
you
be
talking about a
confused.
show or like real life?
Real well. What's the difference? Right? I mean,
well, no, I mean,
there's
you
a
said
lot
you're
of
not-
differences.
You wasn't around back then. Like, I'm confused. Like, what do you mean?
well, I guess 2012 was about the end of the cycle or the end of whatever. But apparently, that the date that they chose was not correct.
No, I'm aware of that. But when you said like you wasn't around back then, like
I wasn't into true stuff or anything.
oh,
Like I just found all this shit a couple years ago.
You're into falsehoods.
Fuck was that? I was a corporate wage slave. You know?
Was it a June bug?
I don't know.
I think it was a June bug.
Where did it come from? Well, there was a 2 wasps and a bee in my house the other day.
Oh Lord!
I don't even see where. I don't see it now. All right, whatever.
Wait, are you streaming this? You should do like a freeze frame.
hey, I got the same headset as you, except it's blue.
As me?
Yeah,
I have a blue one too. Broke. The plastic that holds the ear thing broke.
yes, mine's broke right now.
You guys are just both broken.
Like the mic, it won't stay up. It won't stay up.
Like there's a plastic cap. I can't even.
That's
show
what
it.
she said.
Yeah, that's what she said.
I need a bell. Where's my bell? Come on.
See how that cracked there?
Thank you.
That guy to do a plastic little print for you.
Mine actually, my microphone, like it won't stay up. It just keeps falling down.
Oh, you can fix that. I fixed mine.
How do you do that?
Take the pad off.
All right.
And in
That's
here,
what she said.
There's screws in here, and you can unscrew it, and then tighten the
That's what she
screw that
said.
holds the microphone. I did
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's gross, Cliff.
Also, duct tape
Take that pad off and then
take that pad off,
and then undo the screw.
That's what she said.
Do the stinky leg.
Give her the shocker.
Oh, the shocker.
Or him.
Or him.
I got a book of Aesop's Fables.
God.
I have one of those.
Nice.
Does it have a gold cover on it? Like the front of the
red.
book, is it gold?
Red and little gold little oval.
Letters? Oh, oval?
Hey, you can't see it?
Oh, I don't have it on your. Let me see. Oh, yeah.
You got a black and white screen?
No, I didn't have it scrolled over
You can't
to you.
be throwing video up and expect Suzanne to watch it.
Oh, on the inside cover there is like red and then like little gold.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. That's what I have.
Hey, do you want to go to a health food segment?
Ooh.
Segments? What do you got? Something, Leo?
I got new books
Wait, I
today.
thought we were going to talk about the event.
We did.
Oh yeah. Oh, we did. Oh wait,
Not really.
is there more?
Well, everyone's okay. So there's like all the intuitive people. A lot of intuitive people are getting visions, visuals, impressions, whatever you want to call it, of shit happening after the fall equinox this year. And depending on who you listen to, the description of what's going to happen is vastly different. All of it's not bad. It's not what?
I said, imagine that.
Well, I mean, it is different. It is different.
Oh, wait, this is a TV show?
No, it's YouTube.
Wait, this is real life?
Oh, YouTube.
YouTube.
Oh, gotcha.
It's Memorex.
Okay.
It's AI bots programming. So I don't know what
So
it is.
YouTube loop.
I don't know. It's just interesting that once again.
Well, I do know that, Jerry, like you said, like the intuition part has been very, very strong lately.
Yep.
Like to the, I mean, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, definitely I do see
something's going on. I can feel it too. I'm not, I'm one of these people.
Right.
I just don't talk
It's a
about
feeling.
it.
It's a feeling for sure.
Absolutely.
There's
And
definitely stuff going on.
yeah, but it's it builds and builds, and then it goes away, and it comes back, and it builds more. It's like 2 steps up, 1 step back, but it ratchets
like
up every
trying to have
time.
An orgasm.
Well, I do see. I do
We're
see
being
like
edged.
when you were talking about.
Sorry. I saw Alex laughing.
This is the cosmic orgasm.
Yeah, essentially it is.
When you're talking about like we're in a repeat, like I truly believe that, like, because I'm starting to see like patterns of like from the past that are starting to resurface, and I'm like, wait a minute, like this has already happened.
But it's not even the distant past anymore. Things are getting closer and closer together.
I think that's more about releasing karma than anything else.
I don't believe in karma.
Well, it exists.
Well, it could be karma, but maybe it's like a balance.
Well,
like
don't think of it as karma.
Hillary
Think
would
of it
be
as just
in
an
jail.
energetic balance, okay? Just energy balance. It's no good or bad assigned to it, just energetic balance. Think of karma that way. And in that, these cycles are repeating to complete, to balance out the negative or positive karma that it generated originally in a prior timeline or an adjacent one, perhaps. Who knows? Who knows?
So it's almost like a rubber band effect. So like you stretch it, it always like goes back to its original form.
I see it more as keep playing until you get it right.
Okay.
So,
what kind of predictions have you heard, Jerry, for this year?
I've heard a lot of people talk about seeing a rainbow cloud, like a roll cloud, but rainbow colored.
Double rainbow all the way.
Wasn't there just that picture of that rainbow cloud?
Was there?
Yeah, I saw one
There's
floating
been
around.
a lot of rainbow pictures.
There's been a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, you're right, Grim.
There's going to be sky changes, apparently day and night. This event, this roll cloud of rainbow energy or whatever the fuck it is going to be a catalyst which wakes up the rest of humanity. Or like light a fire under their ass to get woke, kind of thing.
Like a big pride parade.
I've been taking cold showers.
So could that be construed as like could that be like construed as like the second coming of Jesus Christ?
No,
like,
that's all bullshit.
Well, I understand that. What I'm saying is
no, it's not.
No,
geared toward the Christians.
This is more. I see this more as a universal cyclical completion kind of thing. Like
it's an upgrade.
It's like graduation.
Well, I mean, we know that people are waking up because you see it through media. You see like podcasts and all these flat earthers are like popping up everywhere. And there's just like there's a lot of stuff that's popping up that when I was younger that I thought would never ever be like people talking about on a daily routine.
Right.
And
like
even some stuff like the mainstream media would even discuss the fact that, as an example, just to give an example, like Taco Bell, like Illuminati.
Right.
I like 20 years ago or 15 years ago, I would say no. You're insane if that would ever happen. If they would even try to,
Yeah, man, the simple fact that they're just putting it out there in the open and just mocking it,
in the open. But
it's probably not true then.
But I remember there was a Super Bowl. Was it the Super Bowl halftime show? There was,
or it's a big mind fuck.
There was a performance. There was an artist who basically said,
"Oh, it was."
Was it Katy Perry?
Katy Perry.
No, she was
Beyonce.
saying like
it was Beyonce.
Yeah. She was saying like she said something like, I think the phrase was, "We're here to save humanity" or something like that.
They might be.
Was the catchphrase?
It's possible. Who knows? Somebody's got to save humanity.
Yeah, good and bad are subjective,
Captain Planet.
He's our hero.
But like the halftime shows, the halftime show. No matter, I really.
The halftime show. What?
I'm glad you're here.
Earth, fire, wind, water, heart.
It's you.
Go planets.
With our powers.
Power to unite.
No, what I'm saying, like the halftime shows, like you see a lot of like
Symbolism.
Like the Beyonce, well, the symbolism, but you have a lot of Christians who try to analyze these halftime shows,
Right,
and say,
and dissect them and say, "Oh, they're doing this ritual."
Right.
Brought to you by Pepsi.
Which they are doing.
And
Maybe.
Tostitos.
Maybe
But
they're
it's
doing
all
it.
a big mind fuck at the same time.
Well, isn't that
Biggest-
what magic is?
The clearest
Yep.
one with symbolism was the Miley Cyrus one in Houston a couple years ago. I think 2016.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm watching Dutch Sense live stream and there's a raccoon hanging off the bird feeder. Sorry.
By his balls?
It's really funny. No, it's like I can barely see it. I'm watching it on my tablet.
Little
He's just
striped
like
raccoon
swinging
balls.
back and forth on this bird feeder.
Oh no, there was a video online. There was like a squirrel that got his balls caught in like
Oh, this is like the earthquake live stream. And he's got like a trail cam set up outside
But
his
no,
house.
Alex, was it 2013 when Beyonce had her halftime show at the was it Thunderdome, the LA or the Louisiana? Wasn't that whole thing like a sacrifice to like the people that died in Hurricane Katrina or something? Like a ritual for that?
Oh man.
Probably. I mean, I don't doubt it. Like whenever I see Beyonce come out in like a Baphomet costume, I'm like, I don't know if I believe in this shit, but these people definitely do.
Dude, she did do it at Coachella. Like,
Yeah.
she just did it like a couple weeks ago.
She's like, I'm Baphomet, no big deal. Like,
Oh.
it's ridiculous. And the Lady Gaga one from, I guess it was 2017, so right after the election, Trump election. This one, I actually got my wife. I'm like, they always put satanic like symbols in these things. Let's just go watch it together. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's a fallen angel. Like she starts at the top of the stadium and like dives down, and she's wearing like angel wings or something. And she comes down, and I press pause, and I was like, hold on. So just forgive me if there are 23 dancers on the stage right now, and I counted them, and it was exactly 23. You know, and that stuff's not by accident.
Yeah,
No way.
they're rituals.
Sorry, I said Thunderdome. I meant Superdome. I meant
One man enter,
welcome to the Thunderdome.
One man leave.
Welcome to the Thunderdome. No, it was a Superdome. I think it was 2013. And wasn't there a performance by Justin Bieber where he descended from the
Heaven?
ceiling in wings and stuff down onto the stage?
So,
Yeah, I mean stuff like that. I try to pay attention to. Like I try to figure out like what, because to me it's like I think it's partially like part of the arts, the artwork and stuff. But I do think that they incorporate a lot of symbolism and stuff as well. But I know that Beyonce, she has admitted, she's talked about her alter ego, which is Sasha Fierce, and how she conjures that up when she gets on stage, because that's what she claims to be the force that drives her on stage, so that she can get beyond the stage fright. Like she basically, when she gets on stage, she's a completely different person. She's not Beyonce.
Yeah. Have you ever been on stage at all?
Me? No, I typically stay behind the camera.
Right. And being on stage is kind of fearful.
Only if you're a pussy.
I mean, I could imagine. I mean, I haven't been on stage.
Have you been on stage?
I've done performance. I mean,
yeah, I played in a band for a while, and every time we were playing live, I was like
full of fear.
There was definitely a lot of anxiety and stuff like that, and I know that's common. Like even I think Johnny Cash would like throw up every time before he played live.
If you do speeches and stuff, I mean, in front of people, I mean,
public
kind of,
speaking.
yeah, same thing, sort of.
Yep. True. Getting up in front of a crowd.
And I'm all for the old alter ego thing. I think that's good to tap into that.
It's like recreating yourself in a way.
Well, you're tapping into a different part of yourself, you know.
Yep.
Could be channeling.
Yeah, could be
It
channeling.
Definitely could be.
But yeah, that's the Lady Gaga one. That was.
I saw that one. She like plays piano at the end, right?
Here she comes, the fallen angel, and she descends into hell.
Is that representing Lucifer?
Maybe. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. And I mean, they're obviously in hell. I mean, it's all red, and it's like people are dancing at the floor. You know,
they dance in hell.
She actually looks like.
Of course they dance in hell.
It's a constant dance.
It's always dancing.
They gotta get off the.
She kind of looks like Zool from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I thought she was wearing wings, but maybe that was a different memory from a different timeline that I had.
Wasn't there like all this controversy over everyone's thinking she looked chubby or?
And see the giant, the giant pentagram.
Super hot.
What? Wait, do the Baptists know that there's dancing in hell?
See, there's a giant pentagram there. You guys see that?
What else? Muffler pipes?
Nobody got that.
I think those are muffler pipes.
I got it. Wasn't funny. Oh.
Was?
Shots fired.
Oh, Lady Gaga's 32.
Mm-hmm. She's 32?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right now?
Yeah, today.
I could tell you, like, she can sing, though. I mean,
absolutely.
She can sing. I mean, when you look at stuff like this, she's like all over the place. I mean, she's like dangling in the sky, in the air and shit. I'd be fucking shitting my pants if I was, that far in the fucking air and shit. I mean, look at her. She just look at that.
She practiced gymnastics as a kid.
Just like flies off the fucking stage, and
that's why she makes
probably
a shit
not
ton
gonna
of
get
money.
hurt, though. You know, she knows she's
she's not going to get hurt.
Spooky.
So there was either 23. There was either 23.
She's not going to get hurt. Do you remember WrestleMania with Owen Hart?
Thank you, Nomad. God, you were reading I couldn't think of his name.
Yes,
I wanted to make
he got propelled from the top of the stadium like that, and it failed, and he fell, landed on a corner post of the ring, and died instantly.
This is why I don't do the slingshot ride at these parks. Fuck
Dude,
that.
those are fun though.
Yeah. Well,
you could die.
You
That's
could.
all right.
I'll keep my ass on the ground.
Someone's counting dancers right now.
Hey, Grim, play this.
Exactly 23.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Play
so
that
what
link.
is that?
Wait, count by twos.
Play this link.
This is some harsh sketch. You want to talk scary stage work without a net?
I'm sorry, like the video feeds is glitching out and everyone's like twitching on my screen here. That's why I'm laughing.
I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. I'm born this way.
I got blisters on my pussy.
No, who's sharing the screen?
Oh, you want me to turn it off?
No, go to 2013.
Wait, I want to show my video.
Go to Super Bowl 1.
All right, let's take turns.
I don't think they had Super Bowl 1 on YouTube.
Play some Charlie Chaplin videos. Charlie Chaplin at the Super Bowl 1.
What the fuck is that?
Let's see the symbolism in it.
Oh, this is like
be
there's definitely like some spell shit in this.
Race Wars.
Race Wars.
That was hilarious, actually.
Oh man,
the two eyes. That's kind of weird.
Right,
Beyonce's super into this stuff.
23 lights right there.
My video's
really,
way better.
it's all about art. And I guarantee you the people that produce these shows are artists and they care about numbers.
What's your video, Jerry?
You'll see when it comes up.
I gotta wait for
I sent it to Alex.
Okay, cool.
Should get the Blue Man.
We'll revisit Beyonce.
Or Carrot Top could do a halftime.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
She sits down in kind of a weird way right here. You see this? Kind of strange. Is that a cult
it's goddess
symbol?
like.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Was there anything weird about the last Super Bowl halftime?
All of them are weird.
I didn't see anything.
So-
but people was.
This is her literally in the eye of Sauron. You know, she's got 5 Beyoncés around
Isn't
her.
that kind of a black sun symbolism too?
Yeah.
That's Apple symbolism. Apple computer.
Pepsi symbolism.
Oh, Apple computer, the neon. Remember when the iPod? Never mind.
What's
I
an
mean,
iPod?
this dancing is quite impressive because this stuff is not easy. Let's count the dancers, guys.
23? 42?
It's a huge production, all of it.
Yeah.
There's certain segments like you'll see in the crowd, you'll see people hold up the triangle.
Yep.
Oh, really? Let me see
More
if I can
symbolism.
find
Which just means they don't know what the fuck.
But
they're
every
doing.
artist cares about symbolism
Ooh, what's
and
that?
typically they'll use it in their artwork.
But it doesn't matter.
Oh, here.
Here's the
No,
thing.
they
The
have no
energy
effect
that
on
they're
us.
getting from this is not very powerful anymore.
And it's only
Mhm.
if you feed into it.
I agree, Jerry.
How many people do you think they kill at every single halftime show? Like
You
backstage?
guys see right here? You guys see this right here?
Yeah, there it is.
Who cares?
There's the Illuminati.
There's a
The
triangle right on the
confirmed.
stage at the front of the stage there. At the end of the buttresses.
Use a bugaboo. A bugaboo.
If you take out your wallet and take out a $1 bill,
She'll
there's
suck your dick.
triangle on that.
Is
They're
it really?
everywhere.
Really? Let me get my $1 bill. I didn't know that.
Triangle, my favorite chain.
Equilateral.
I'm terribly not funny tonight, so
There we go.
sorry.
Here's some Daredevil scary stage action. I
Is
watched
Evel
this shit.
Knievel?
Yeah, I watched this shit live.
I
man.
did too.
You were
couldn't-
there
Ju-
live.
I was
Were
not
there 11
there.
buses? Did he fly over 11 buses?
Yeah,
Oh Lord.
but then he bounced.
But then he
Because
bounced.
he's on a fucking regular old Harley.
You were there.
No.
No, we saw it on TV. They had TV when we were little.
Oh.
Ouch.
Wasn't this in the 70s?
Oh yeah. This
Or was it the 80s?
Evel Knievel broke every bone in his body
Yep.
at least once.
I thought that was. I thought he broke every single bone in his body going across the Snake River.
Maybe
it was this one?
That was just the coup de grace on top, right? No, this is a compilation of all of his crashes.
Oh, nice.
A 3-minute compilation.
So that's how good he is.
Oh
Think
no,
about
he
that.
was horrible. Well, I mean, he was good and bad. He was. I mean, he was
He
a
was a
great show.
daredevil.
It was a show. He was a showman. You know, it
You
was
got to break a few eggs to make an omelet.
break a few
Yeah.
necks.
What about Super Dave though? Super Dave.
That was a mocking of Evel Knievel.
It was great.
Honestly, he probably wore a cup when he did these.
A
Just
cup?
saying.
I'm on fire. I'm on fire. It could be like.
Body shattered, but at least I wore a cup.
Well, this is not more than one crash. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's just him getting pulled
I
off.
was referencing Talladega.
Just
I'm sorry.
sad now.
I'll find
The
you. a better
invisible
one.
fire, Suzanne. The invisible fire. It's real.
Yes. See? That was funny.
Oh, there we go.
Is it?
Oh my god.
Oh, but he's nailing it.
Find the one where
No,
he
no,
goes
he
across
made
the
it.
Snake River.
This is the preamble showing his successes before he crashes at Caesar's Palace.
Ooh.
But I remember being on Wide World of Sports, so you'd have all that music.
Oh, that one looked like it hurt.
My favorite part of that wide world of sports was when that skier goes flying down the mountain.
My favorite part was that they were using an Electric Light Orchestra song as their music. Dun, 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 dun.
I worked on a film with one of the ELO guys.
Which one?
Which
one?
Eric
Which guy?
Eric Troyer.
I don't remember his name.
He was in ELO. He was a singer, I think, guitarist.
This is killing me, guys.
Mm-mm.
Like,
No.
is anyone else glitching? Like,
Yeah, we all are because you can't play video over Zoom.
Oh my god. I don't know what Cliff was doing earlier, but that shit was cracking me up.
He was never in a ELO.
I'll hand it over to Jerry.
Well, he might have been later on. I mean, let me check here.
Yeah, I think he was.
No. Nice try. He's probably in some other band. Was he in ELP maybe?
I think he did stuff with ELO.
He might have been a producer or something, like a back guy.
Here's a video. I just put it in.
Oh, ELO Part 2. He was in ELO Part 2.
Got it. Okay, so there's a difference.
Yeah, that's.
I was born in the early 90s, man. I don't know.
ELO Part 2, I think, was like an Australian version of it. I'm reading it. Oh, Bevan's. Okay, never mind. So some of the original members of ELO got together and started it in 1989. That's scary. That's cool.
This is interesting.
What happened?
This did not exist last year. It's the Mandela effect.
So I just noticed, like, when I was looking up screenshots of Ghostbusters, the original one, Zool, I noticed in the background there are a shit ton of
occult symbols.
What is
occult symbolism? What?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
in what do you call them? Obelisks.
Obelisk.
Obelisks.
Phallus symbols.
Obelisks. Obelisks. Yeah. So like they're actually like everywhere in the background. Just notice that.
That building's like a giant antenna.
Which building?
The one in New York from Ghostbusters. That's what they say in the movie. Never mind. Has anyone watching the newest season of Legion?
No, I haven't started it yet.
No, that's on my list. I got like a long list of fucking shows I gotta watch.
They've been playing this. There's a narration at the beginning of the episode that's. I don't know how to describe it. It's like. Like educational. I want to play it. What I want to
do. Is the Legion? Is that the show about? Is it like the Fallen?
Biblical?
No, it's a Marvel X-Men show. The lead dude,
I'm thinking of that movie. Legion.
Yeah, no, they're not connected. The lead character in this show, I'm pretty sure is Professor X's son in the comic universe. So it'll be Patrick Stewart's kid, and he's like the most powerful mutant ever.
Yeah, he does some crazy shit. It's pretty awesome. First season was amazing.
Yeah, really.
I'm not.
The second season's all about consciousness and stuff related to consciousness. That's why it's so interesting to me.
I'm not
James.
I'm not a huge X-Men fan, but I did enjoy Logan.
Logan was pretty good. It's not very X-Man-y. X-Men-y, if you will. It's not. It's not
X-Men-esque.
Not really. Once in a while, you'll see an X in a circle. You know the logo, the Lucifer logo. but that's it. Actually, I've been looking into it. There's a lot of hexagons, which in the way they show them.
Wait, that's you're saying that's a Luciferian symbol?
What?
The X with the circle around?
It's the symbol of Lucifer, yeah. Or the devil.
Some even say it's the mark of the beast.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But my question to you guys is:
I thought that was a symbol for
what is
Texaco.
the point of all this symbolism in media? Like, what do you think it's doing ultimately?
I don't know.
Who knows? Casting, maybe charging something, or
Well, doesn't that go back to like pop magic? When you perform rituals in your arts, like your music and your videos. So, as an example, like if you have a political agenda and you want to, and you want to have a specific reaction or outcome, you can perform these certain things, and I mean, I assume, right?
And supposedly it works, right? I mean, we see through it. We can see it as it happens now, I think. Most of us. But the majority of people probably don't. And it does have some kind of effect on their mind.
Like if you watch the music video Katy Perry Dark Horse, I mean it's like fully fucking loaded.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you get a headache if you try to take apart every little frame by frame.
But the thing is, for you can do that. You can take it apart.
I mean, now
most people just see it as pure entertainment.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can see the symbols. I can see them,
and that's who the programming affects.
I can see the symbolism,
Exactly.
but like I'm at the point where I want to know, like, want to understand like the ritual side of it. Like, what are they trying to
trying to save you 15% of your car insurance?
And
because they care.
Mystery
in the art, like when they produced this stuff, because like I'm trying to look at it from a filmmaker perspective. Like I know, for me as an example, like I try anything in the background has a purpose. You know, everything, like when you go back to like when you talk about Kubrick and how detailed he was, you know, and he would take shots over and over and over and over until he had his vision encapsulated through what he was trying to convey on screen. So everything in the background, like everything that he's ever done, like in the background, like everything has a purpose. There was nothing like accidentally got in. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And it's the same for any artist.
Right. And it's just but that's the thing, like there's so many, like as an example, like The Shining, there's so many different theories that branch off of that film. But when you actually go back to Kubrick and his intention, it's nothing, it's not even close to any of these type of theories. You know what I'm saying? Like his intention was different based on what people perceived it as. I find that fascinating because it's just so many different avenues of consciousness. Like it's, you know what I'm saying? Like I can look at something and say, well, this must mean this. And you can look at something and say, well, no, this means that. And the original artist who made it, they could have an entirely different intention than what's perceived by anyone else.
Hey guys.
Later, Keanu.
Okay. Have a good night.
Bye, Felix. See you. Later.
I've got that clip.
Bye.
To play. You guys have to watch the stream to see it.
Oh. You talking about the H.I.V.E? True.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm just gonna mute it. It's gonna double feed.
Or a face in a knot of wood.
just going to mute it.
Every few months, Jesus appears to the unsuspecting in a piece of toast. Or does he? Human beings are pattern-seeking animals. For thousands of years, our survival depended on being able to spot patterns in nature, to find predators hiding in the wild. And so now, centuries later, we are still looking, still searching every cloud for faces, as if our lives depend on it. So strong is our belief that a pattern must exist, that the human mind will reject the pieces that don't fit. So where the pessimist sees danger hiding behind every back, the optimist sees friendship. Which is why, when we encounter coincidence, we often see conspiracy.
That's it. I thought it was really cool. So they do those little snippets at the start of each show to describe some concept that they're going to explore in the show. Oh, wait, I can't hear you.
And that's at the beginning of Legion, right?
It's woven into each episode. Describe concept that they're going to explore in the show.
So what do you think about that? Like, what do you think? Why do you think they do that? And that's at the beginning of Legion, right?
It's woven into each episode. Is that me? Concept that they're going to explore in the show.
So what do you?
Oh, no, that's me.
What do you
My
think?
bad. Oops. I forgot I unmuted it. That was totally zoned out.
Did I answer the question?
There's a question?
I think I answered it. Anyway, it's that little video narrated introduction is woven into each episode, usually around first commercial, second commercial, and it describes a concept or something related to the current episode.
Okay.
And they've been talking about this whole season's been about a mental prison that's transmitted to people in the form of a virus that's verbal. You can wrap your head around that. Basically, a spoken word virus that puts your mind in a prison.
Sounds a lot like magic.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they're the same thing. So in a way, they're exploring magic, verbal magic, whatever you want to call that, psychological operations on the masses by the spoken word. Which goes into what you're talking about, symbolism and magic in the media and Hollywood. That's why I brought it up. I mean, it wasn't a tangent, really.
That makes me want to play D&D.
I know what you mean.
I'll get you that clip.
I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, yeah, I'll definitely check that show out for sure. For some reason, I thought it was like
Angels.
I don't know why. Yeah, that's the problem. Is every time I log into Netflix, there's so many shows that pop up that I haven't seen before that are originals.
I don't think that's on Netflix.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different shows out there, and
yeah, they're mostly crap.
I'm like, I'm backlogged.
But Legion is pretty good.
Legion's fantastic.
Legion's good.
So Legion is on what network?
FX.
FX, yeah.
FX. Okay. I don't have cable, so I'm at the
Me neither.
figure out how to get that.
FX.com.
It's so crazy just to think, you know, when I was younger and into all of this, wishing these TV shows existed, or all the movies that are coming out now, and finally, it's happening.
You remember the show?
I'm 30 plus.
You remember the show Outer Limits on the Sci-Fi?
Yep.
Dude, that show was fucking awesome.
Oh, so good.
Outer Limits, and then what was the other one? Sliders.
Sliders was great.
Sliders was fantastic.
I love that show, man. Sliders, yeah. There were some, and those were what? Those were 90s shows, when they were. Was that early 2000s?
No, those are not.
Like late 90s or something. Yeah, those shows were fucking awesome.
Remember the show Earth 2? It only ran for like 2 seasons.
I remember
Dude,
that.
show was badass. And then I tried rewatching it, like when they put it on Netflix, and I was like, I remember this being a lot cooler.
There was nothing to compare it to at that time.
No, it was very unique. It was good. You guys remember, did you guys watch Hercules and Xena? Because I totally did.
Yep. What about Firefly?
Oh, dude, Firefly's amazing.
Nice.
That's a great show.
I never saw the show, but I saw the movie and I really liked it.
Oh, the show's great.
Serenity.
Yeah,
I think the movie is post time.
Yeah, the movie is post.
It is. I'm saying I never watched the show, but I really did enjoy the movie.
That was good.
Nice.
There's an actual website, I'm trying to find it, that basically allows you to, it loops, and you can watch like all the commercials from the 90s.
Oh God.
Like you're actually watching TV from the 90s. I'm trying to find it, like I can't remember the name of it.
I'll totally watch that.
But it's crazy, like you watch it and it's like it takes you back, man. It's
Oh yeah.
Dude, I wish I gotta find somewhere there has to be I used to record every single X-Men on Saturday morning when they'd come on, and I'd have commercials and everything in there. Like Saturday morning I'd fucking get the VCR set up, record the X-Men.
Amazing, dude.
Dude, I have them all.
To see that
somewhere. I gotta find those. Yeah, it's like a fucking 150 episodes or some shit. Just good times. I miss the 90s.
Yeah, me too, man. I actually did that with Dragon Ball.
They miss you. They miss you, dude.
It is the website is my90stv.com.
Checking this out.
Let's see, I'll put it in the chat. My90stv.com. So you can have like cartoons, comedy, commercials, drama, game shows, kids, movies. And you can like you have a little remote there, and you can do channel up and down, and
Jesus,
trailers and stuff. It's crazy, man. Pretty awesome. Whoever built this site, Joey, created by Joey Kato.
Joey Kato.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. You could do like a playlist shuffle.
Developers that are bringing us Ultra Vortex and eventually Battle Wheels for the Jaguar. We just have a few questions.
Jerry, how was it for you when you were like 10 years old?
How was it like what? Was what like what?
Like what were you watching on TV when you were a kid that age?
10 years old. So that was like the late 70s. Like Saturday morning cartoon. The big thing when I was a kid was in the fall, right after school started. Oh, I'm sorry, right when school ended in the summer, in the beginning of the summer, not the fall. They would have these shows which would tell you about all the new cartoons that were coming out on Saturday mornings. It was in the fall. It was like the new season of Saturday morning cartoons. I remember that was like the one thing I looked forward to every year, was seeing which new cartoon, and they all sucked. I mean, there was no good ones. The stuff.
Man, It's awesome that they made like a whole separate cartoon to advertise for the cartoons.
No, it was a live show with clips of the new cartoons. It was 30 or 60 minutes for each network, not just one show. I mean, it was a network show. I'll try and find one. They were really funny. But as far as cartoons go, I only really watched Land of the Lost. I remember that. And I didn't really watch much cartoons. So I don't remember that stuff.
Were you all about the Bozo and Garfield Goose and all that?
Bozo, Garfield Goose, yeah. I was almost on Garfield Goose. I got invited on. That's
Man.
funny. I told you that.
What?
I told you that story.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was.
Did you grow up? Did you grow up in a city environment or a country environment?
I lived on the south side of Chicago, which was residential. It's urban residential. I mean, it's not like downtown Chicago at all. It's more like, houses on blocks.
The suburbs.
Yeah. But no subdivisions. That shit I never saw till I moved to Atlanta. Anyway. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh.
So when you grew up, like, you have a lot of, you guys have like a lot of TVs in the house, and was it more like you were just like an outdoor kid?
We had a TV in every room in the house, but none of us watched a lot of TV. We weren't allowed to. I mean, my parents didn't let us watch TV after school until we finished our homework, and then only until dinner. And then we had to be up, doing other shit. Couldn't watch TV. I couldn't watch the Three Stooges. My parents wouldn't let me watch that because they said it was too violent. Yeah.
That's fair.
So the television I watched mostly, the shows that I remember were like Sunday night ABC mystery specials, like McCloud. Remember McCloud and Columbo and Heart to Heart, those kind of shows. Magnum P.I. I never really got into. Columbo was my favorite. And Sunday PBS shows like Fawlty Towers or Monty Python or The Two Ronnies or The Young Ones. I watched way more PBS, BBC production stuff than I did American television.
Nice.
That's where the good comedy was.
Yeah.
Was really the only place for comedy back then, because the television show, variety television shows on television, there weren't really any primetime ones. Not until I got older when they had things like that Drew Carey, What's My Line? Remember that show?
Oh, Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah, Whose Line? Yeah. Right. There was nothing like that when I was a kid. There was Laugh-In, which was horrible. Dan Rowan, Dick Martin. Dan Rowan and Dick Martin's Laugh-In.
So I'm wondering, like, back then, like, if you lived like in a suburb or like in a big city, if you had more access to TV stations versus if you lived outside the city.
We had 2, 5, 7, 9, and 11. 2, 7, 9, 11 is 5. And then we had channel 32 and 44 for a little bit.
Yeah.
Before cable.
Was it over the air?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We didn't.
Nice.
Chicago, the city of Chicago did not allow cable companies to enter there till after I moved, which was 2000. There was no cable allowed in Chicago. They had On TV. Remember that shit?
Oh, God. No. I never had to deal with On TV.
Yeah. And I never lived in the city of Chicago when cable came to it. So I had already moved to Evergreen Park or Naperville.
Sometimes it makes me wonder if we should just get rid of the TV, as hard as that is.
Well, I want a display screen. I don't need a network feed. That's what I want to get rid of. That's what I did get rid of.
Yep. True.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like, it's like anything. Like, it could be used for educational purposes, or it can be abused. I mean,
no, I'm sorry. I'm laughing at someone.
I don't know. Like, when you say like get rid of TV, Nomad, like, what are you talking about?
Like so for example, when you said it can be used for educational purposes or abused, those Super Bowl halftime shows, is that abuse?
I used to think so. But when I look at it now, and see, that's where I think, like, for me, it's a constant evolution of knowledge, like learning stuff. Like, my perspective, like just 10 years ago, is completely different than what it is now.
Same.
And that's just because when people who have open minds, when they get additional information, you can either do one or two things. You can basically block that information, that new information, and just stick to what is in your comfort zone, or you can say, okay, I'm going to take a look at this and dive down this path and see if there's any truth to it. Maybe it could possibly broaden or change my perspective on in this particular subject. And I think that's how you gain that wisdom, is being able to constantly adapt to new information.
Absolutely.
Because
and unfortunately, most people don't take that second option.
And when you look at like the halftime shows, there's obviously a lot of symbolism in it that we can see. As far as like their intentions, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and that, like I said, that goes back to like when you look at Kubrick and the way he directed and produced his films, you can say, well, he's trying to portray this or this or this. And then when you actually see like interviews of him discussing his techniques and stuff, and you can see like his perspective was completely opposite of what people perceive it in down the road. And I think it also, as time progresses, generations can perceive things different from other generations.
So true.
Like newer, younger generations today, they could watch The Shining and have a completely different perspective than what we would have.
Yep. And that's the great thing about art.
And it's the same goes for like when you're younger versus like, for instance, like to give you an example, like the movie The Never-Ending Story. When I watched that as a kid, when I revisited that movie as an adult, it was a completely different story to me.
Yep.
It wasn't even the same movie.
Same thing here.
Have you watched Alice in Wonderland lately, or The Wizard of Oz, or any of those old?
I actually watched the live action version of Alice in Wonderland with.
And you're talking about getting programmed? That's
the Jabberwocky.
Jabberwocky. With the
no, but
claws the catch.
I definitely want to revisit those
the
classic movies.
My son.
It is interesting to see the difference, though.
Yeah, I mean, I revisited movies like remember the movie Legend with Tom Cruise, the unicorns.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Yep.
Labyrinth. David Bowie.
Yeah. So, none of these movies made impressions on me, though.
Dark Crystal.
Lame.
Dark Crystal, yeah.
I heard someone talking about the Dark Crystal that it was very Donald Marshall-esque, but that was Jim, what's his face? Jim Henson's attempt at outing the Cabal because the bird creature things that were they were sacrificing children to those things, whatever they were, right? And that's kind of, he was putting what happens in Hollywood in that movie. I'd heard that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, like with the Dark Crystal, like what attracted me to that movie as a kid, and I used to watch it probably like once a month. Was a kid.
It's
I
good
really
programming.
It's the massive puppetry.
It's a puppetry, yeah. It's the creatures. The creatures, like stuff like that, is really attracted me to that film. And just like the world setting, like it was like a completely different. It kind of like it allowed me to escape from the current world I was in. And when I watched that movie, I was able to go to a completely different world.
That's why Dungeons and Dragons is an amazing game.
Exactly.
Now, apparently they're coming out with a Dark Crystal remake or reboot, I believe.
Oh,
really? They gave up on the sequel.
I know that they were airing Dark Crystal in theaters like around, but I didn't hear anything about a reboot.
Is it going to be animated?
I'm not sure, but I think they talked about they're gonna stick to practical effects with puppetry.
If they do that,
I
then
hope so.
go for it. Yeah.
Yes,
Go for it.
exactly. Just amp it up. Make it more visually stunning, still using puppets. That would be amazing.
I think there's a good, like, it's okay to use CGI. You know, if you have a good balance between CGI and practical effects, I think it works. I think it works well. The problem is, like, well, at least for me, is I tend to be a little bit more harsh on movies that solely rely on CGI effects and don't put any effort in any type of practical effects. And for me, it's just like it just feels phony. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can, granted, the CGI effects have come a long way, but still, like, nowadays when you watch a film, you can still, like, you're like, yeah, that's, you know, CGI.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes away from that. Whereas practical effects, it brings that realistic type aspect to it. You know, like,
so true. And most of us here, we have a cunning eye or perception.
The thing is,
things like that, when we
Did you
see
just tell
them,
me to
they
make a
look
perception
fake.
check?
Yeah, pretty much. But
like,
most of us here, when we see that shit, we can see it as instantly fake. But the practical effects ring true.
Like, when we do like horror, when we made the Volumes of Blood horror stories, we had a lot. Every single death in the film was practical effects, and
nice.
It's like for each kill scene, each like gore scene, it took us probably like 4 or 5 hours per scene, just to get like maybe 20-30 seconds worth of footage. And it took an entire team. Like, we had probably 30 people in one room trying to get down one effect. And you have to use like for instance, when we have a scene where guy gets stabbed in the head, well, we had a styrofoam head, and we had to we had to stab it and get the knife through first. That way, when we do it the second time, it slides through easier, so that we can have that effect. You know, when it goes through the styrofoam, when you mix it with blood, like, the pieces of styrofoam actually kind of look like brain matter.
That's awesome.
And that's
no
how we had that
CGI
effect.
required.
Right. And camera angles too play an important role. You know, you can do a lot of effects,
Absolutely.
like practical effects, with not going into a lot of detail based on the angle and how you set up your scene. A lot of times you don't even have to have anything happen on film. Like, you could have like a build up to that particular scene, then have something like off camera that happens, and you don't know what happened, but you feel that tension going into it. You know, it gives you that that mystery. You know, that you know, what happened. I want to know more, and that keeps you engaged into the film. But yeah, I mean, and I understand, like, from a filmmaker's perspective, like, when you're in like big budgets, obviously it's much more cheaper to go down the CGI route versus the practical effects, because, and it's weird, it's kind of flip-flop, right? So back in the day, like, computers were so much more expensive, so using like computer animation would be like not even possible because it was so expensive to use it. Nowadays it's like flip-flop, so now it's like super cheap to use computer graphics versus using practical effects. So it's just interesting, like, seeing how the evolution of film has progressed. And back in the day, where you Super 8 film or 35 millimeter film, and you know, if you had to redo a scene and stuff, it costs you thousands of dollars to reshoot something. Versus now, it's like you just can erase a file and restart it and reshoot it.
Yeah, like even thinking like the first Matrix movie compared to the second one.
Mm-hmm.
They used so many practical effects in the first one compared to the second one, where it was much more CGI.
Keanu Reeves was like really dodging those bullets. I mean, that was really happening. I believe he could.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, they were really shooting bullets at him.
Yeah,
he had to go
obviously not that scene.
Yeah.
But where you'd never see him as CGI. Where in the second movie, you see
like
Neo in CGI form.
In certain films, like
and it stood out.
There's a reason for that too, because it's a cost-cutting measure because they use that same footage with the video game that was released alongside the movie.
Well, also you have to
that's true. And also that scene where he's dodging the bullets was used with cameras, actually filming
in the original movie,
actor.
yeah. And the second movie
in
was
the
made
original
years
movie.
after, and they didn't have that tech to do that. Whenever it was
So we
90s,
got to see like the beginning of that. And I think the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire was another one where we first saw like CGI being used to actually look realistic, but you can still kind of tell it's CGI.
Plus, the original trailer for that had Spider-Man weaving a web between the Twin Towers, which came down between the time the trailer came out and the movie came out. They had to pull that trailer.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that revolved around that, where it was like they had to pull things because 9/11 symbolism was involved in it, like right around 9/11. There was an album or something, I think, too.
But what about like, wasn't there a lot of that in Back to the Future?
That they pulled out? No.
Well, there's a lot of symbolism.
Well, no, pulled out.
No, wasn't there a hijacking film that was pulled as well? Wasn't it that Liam Neeson film?
When I find you, I'll kill you.
There was also some symbolism in Lethal Weapon.
Or symbolism in every movie. Like the films that I produce, I purposely put symbolism in films myself.
Yeah, but when it predicts something in the future, like a traumatic event, then it's
not you, right? Then it's not a prediction, nor is it predictive programming. I'll make this argument all day.
Or is it the artist like picking up on?
It's the artist picking up on a trauma in the cloud and creatively transmuting it. That's what I think it is.
Yep, that makes sense. It's like what you said earlier, Leo.
And sometimes
there's multiple ideas happening at the same time. You said there was two RIDE and RYDE, right?
There were two theories of relativity at the same time.
So I think like one thing like with film that I've noticed is like sometimes your subconscious takes over in like framing certain things, because there's a lot of times like when we make short films and people, and it could be, a different perspective, like I was talking about like with Kubrick and stuff, but like your attention is to do one thing and then people say, oh yeah, I see how you did this and how you did that, and I'm like oh yeah, I can see that now, but that's not what I was going for, but it just happened to fall into place like that. So sometimes like when you really and is and I can consider like film being magic, because you have to write the script first, and then you have to have a shot list. Basically, the shot list is what determines how you frame each and every single scene that's in relation to the script. So when you're out, and then when you direct it, you're guiding the actors and stuff, and you're painting the canvas in the environment that you're in based on how you see your vision of telling the story. And sometimes, like when you start doing that, you start to really get into it, right? So, like we've had certain actors that do what they call method acting, so they stay in character the entire time, even between takes.
Mike Myers is like that.
Jim Carrey on Man on the Moon. They did a whole documentary about it.
Yeah. Well, Heath Ledger is a prime example of
He's
that
dead.
too.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
heard
he
the
got
same
too
about,
much into the role.
I heard the same about that.
Bill, are you finally back?
Mike Myers in the Austin Powers. When he was doing Dr. Evil shit, he would stay in Dr. Evil character. Or when he was doing Gold Member.
Yeah. I can see that because he's playing multiple roles in the same film. I think that's where the method acting works.
Yep. Failed. And he's playing pretend the whole time. He's inserting himself into these roles.
Could method
But
acting,
the creepy thing,
could method acting be a partially a form of channeling?
It could be. Well, the creepy thing is like, and because we do mostly horror films. So, you know, we have actors that portray, you know, serial killers or whatever. And those particular actors who do the method acting approach, they stay in character. Like that's how they act. They act like this serial killer in between takes. And there's been a couple times where, you know, we have actresses and stuff that start to get, you know, kind of, you know, this guy's, he's, you know, being a little bit creepy over here, but simply because they haven't worked with him in the past. So it could be a channeling thing. I don't know, like, but it's like,
or it also could be an aspect of the human imagination.
It could be,
and it could be channeling, but it just could be.
But I mean, like, what would channeling?
When you pretend enough. When you.
Well, what if you're channeling
everyone
a
has
past
a great
life
imagination.
Of your own, you know?
That could.
Or you're channeling a personality that would better suit like that particular character.
Mm-hmm.
So, for an example, if you're an actor and you're like a passive person, but you had to play an aggressive type character, then you have to get into that certain mindset. You know, you have to force yourself into portraying that actor or
and
that
that's
character.
Why I mean, it could be channeling, but I would give more relevance to the imagination.
Well,
I think there's aspects
question,
of imagination.
Yeah, how are they different?
I mean,
well, one, you're saying there's an outer influence, and then imagination would be from the self only.
Not outer.
It would be.
What is channeling?
I don't know.
Inner. I think the channeling comes. I think it comes from within because you have to.
I agree.
Like for instance, like if I give a script to someone, I say, okay, these are your lines. I want you to remember these lines, and this is the character. Basically, you give the person who the character is, what they're like. You have to give them a character profile.
Agreed. But there's a lot of people out there that consider channeling to be other influences outside of the self, right?
Well, sometimes like it just could be that they're channeling their alter ego. Or they're channeling like a different personality. Like for instance, like
I agree.
I'm a Gemini, so I have multiple personalities. Like, and
same here.
You can channel like based on, and I guess you're partially correct. Like if outside influences, you know, if someone pisses you off, you can be like, you can go from being nice to really fucking angry. But you know, are those emotions or are those like? Are those different like personalities? You know what I'm saying? Like,
are they all from the self, or are there outer influences?
I mean, I think there's always outer influences. I mean, interacting with another human being, interacting with another person like we're doing now. I mean, you're an outer influence to me right now because we're engaging in conversation.
Very true.
But as far as like as far as like method acting, as far as like acting
and channeling. Channeling is the thing I'm
like
wondering about.
For me, like I can't act. I can't act. That's why I write scripts and direct. I stay behind the camera. Because my skill comes in, I can direct people into portraying a specific character that makes sense. Like, for instance, like if I have someone in a film that is portraying like a mother or a caring father or something, and when they're reading their lines and stuff, you kind of have to, unless they're really really good and they have a lot of experience, they can kind of channel that emotion themselves, but you kind of have to direct them into that and give them like for instance, my short film about Dogman and stuff. You know, when the child when when the child goes missing, you know, Melinda Beck, who played the mother, I was trying to get her to tap into that emotion of like she just lost her kid. So initially, we had to go through probably like between 10 to 15 takes just on her facial expression. You know, when she looks up and she realizes that her kid's missing, even though she didn't really say anything, it's all about her facial expression. You know, if it didn't look right, I would try to direct her, like try to bring her into that type of emotion. So I would tell her, I was like, bro, okay, do you have any kids? Okay, you don't have any kids. Do you have any cousins? Do you have anybody you really care about? Okay, so pretend like they're the ones that have just gone missing. Try to channel that type of emotion. And sometimes they can't, you know, sometimes you have to work with what you have. But I think it's an art both ways. I think it's an art as far as like
It definitely
acting,
is.
and it's an art on the director's side to kind of guide and direct them into that direction.
So true. And when it comes down to it, really, the whole point is, as humans, we're meant to be creative. We're meant to create things.
And do you think that's why they tried to phase out so many art programs?
Well, who says that? I mean, where do we get these ideas that we're made to do this?
Maybe just having the idea creates it.
I mean, yeah.
I'm not shitting on you. It was an honest question.
No, I know what you mean, but really, without that, what's the point?
Imagination.
Maybe there is no point.
From everything else.
I think that's the only point, actually.
What if there is no point? What if the point is to find a point or make a point? To be traumatized. That's a good point.
Jason's over there. He's like, there's no point, guys. He's like, I've known there's no point for like 15 years now.
Then what the fuck is this? If there's no point, what the fuck is this?
It's the hive. I don't know. I don't know what it's all about.
No, I like your
really does.
I like your questions, Nomad, because you really get the.
Yeah, right. Adam just said, "Why does there have to be a point?" There doesn't.
There doesn't unless you make it, right?
There doesn't have to be a point necessarily, but then you're just riding along.
I mean, if you think of it like this, okay, so you can go through life and just, you know, sit on a couch and watch TV for the rest of your life and do absolutely nothing.
Exactly. You could do that.
Or you could do something, well, help people, make a difference in other people's lives. I mean, it's really...
Or that will impact...
You're your own... I mean, you create... you have some control over your destiny, right? So you can make your life mean something, or you could just be like, I don't really give a shit. I mean, that choice is yours.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say, is there really a purpose? Well, I mean, that's really up to you. I mean, in the end, we all have the same size graves, right?
It's true.
We do, or we don't have graves at all.
I want to get burned.
I'm gonna try to play a video, you guys, about channeling. I don't know if this works.
Like,
well, you could also
play it because
drown.
your sound won't come up.
Here, I'll play it.
Okay.
I got
I
this.
put the link in.
Yep. I just got to share screen.
Just skip ahead to like 1 minute. 1 minute on the dot.
Just saying real quick, we don't all have the same size grave.
Yeah, some people are giants, like Andre the Giant.
Think about people that
What about
drown
the Giants
in
of
the ocean.
Kandahar?
They have the largest grave of all.
Oh, not this one. This
Wow,
is.
why does it look so shitty?
That was mine. It's the one prior to that.
Oh,
yeah, the link I put in prior.
Anyway, gotcha. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Adam.
Hey guys.
What's up, Adam?
Adam, what's up, dude?
Was listening, decided to join.
I figured he wanted to.
Hey.
I heard him screaming in his head. I sent him a link.
Here we go. I love this clip. It's so bizarre.
Stage bliss. I mean, to lie in bed and rehearse a love scene, it's so funny. It's so spontaneous. It's so open. We're lying in bed and we're rehearsing the astronaut Garrett Reed love scene. He's explaining to Aurora what it was like to walk on the moon. She's saying it. And then we launched into the first take, and 2 voices came out of you. Do you remember this? 2 voices, and they were simultaneous words, but they were 2 levels of sound. And I looked over at you. You were amazed. I was amazed, and you said, "Well, sure, I'm many different people." I said, "No, Jack, you're channeling."
And they all laugh like it's a joke.
And it gets a big round of applause.
It's so bizarre.
Well, you got to remember how Shirley MacLaine was all about channeling and spirits and all that shit. That was her shtick off camera.
Yeah,
But
she
when it
was
gets a
always
big
out on a
round of
limb and
applause-
dancing in a light.
Yep. She was leading the New Age parade from within.
Dude, I went to a religious school and we had to read like an entire book about like how Shirley MacLaine was solely responsible for the decline of morality in America because of all her new age.
She totally,
I think I've read that book.
got demonized for it. But yeah, they all laughed at her.
Well, I mean, the channeling part, is that the channeling spirits or the alter ego? Are they both one and the same?
She was channeling spirits. It was so long ago. And she kind of got out of doing that.
Well, when Heath Ledger died, he died after doing the Joker role, right? Which is a very neurotic role. And that is a kind of thing that can make you go crazy. And he obviously got into drugs, and the drugs killed him and everything.
Allegedly.
It's hard to believe that was like almost 10 years ago.
It's hard to believe that these people die at that age from weird-ass drugs that no one would take in their right mind,
Yeah. Well, Jack Nicholson said that I warned him about that role, the Joker role. So that's kind of a weird, maybe Jack Nicholson.
Why? What's so hard about playing that role that would make you...
So that's
goofy?
interesting. That's interesting. So it's almost like channeling the same spirit to play that role. Like Jack Nicholson, he played that role, and now he's warning Heath Ledger about that same character.
Well, you guys were talking about method acting earlier. I mean, Jared Leto apparently just lost his fucking mind, and he had like a much smaller.
Was it from the Blade Runner movie?
No, like in oh shit, the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
Heath Ledger
Apparently,
die
like
during the
said,
filming
doing
of
crazy
the
shit.
imaginary
Wait.
imaginary of Dr. Parnassus?
What, Jason?
That's good.
What we're saying about Jared Leto?
Oh, I was saying Jared Leto, when he played the Joker on Suicide Squad, he had a much smaller role than the other two. And apparently, like, the cast just could not deal with him because he literally was living. Like, he was, like, sending them bodily fluids and shit in the mail. I'm serious. Like, he lost his mind.
That's psychotic to me. That's something wrong with that person.
Yeah, it's like, where does the line end up? Like, if there's demonic possession,
It ends
or
at 5
possession by
o'clock when
spirit.
you punch out of work.
No, but that suggests that everybody who plays that role, maybe there's some kind of shadow figure that you're encapsulating.
That they get possessed by an entity or an energy.
Maybe there's a Joker entity in the ether.
Well, this brings up an interesting. Go ahead.
It is a tarot card.
It is.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just the vibration associated with the psychosis connected to the character.
Yeah, you just bring it on yourself. But I mean, the Joker, all these characters are not new. Like you just mentioned, it's a card on. It's the classic trickster character, but he's chaotic evil. If you look at the Dungeons and Dragons chart,
yeah,
he's chaotic evil.
And it was a comic before that. He's Loki. Yeah. The thing is, though, it's been in the minds of people since the 50s, and there's an astral version of the Joker, just as there's 300 different versions of Jesus there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see American Gods last year? That show, Alex?
So good.
It's a good show.
No, I didn't. I love Neil Gaiman, though. I've kind of been reading on and off his retelling of Norse mythology, which I thought was an amazing idea.
It's really good
for someone like him to retell Norse mythology. And he's like, I'm just going to do it. There's no one telling me I can't. And he's retelling the stories, and it's so accessible. It's so entertaining.
I think American Gods came out of that or after it, but they both.
American Gods was way before.
Okay, so whatever he learned in there brought him towards the Norse mythology, I think, because there's a lot of Norse mythology imagery, not imagery, but people in American Gods.
Yeah, he's always loved it. He's always Neil Gaiman has always been a fan of Thor, and he talks. I listened to an interview with him where he talks about the Norse mythology he grew up with as a kid. So I thought that was really cool. And plus, I watched. I had a long kick where I got on that Vikings show.
Me too. I liked the first season. It was really good.
Yeah, I watched. I mean, they're on season 5 right now. It's a really, really good show. It's kind of like a Game of Thrones type thing.
Yay TV.
Yeah,
Yay
but
TV.
I was obsessed with Vikings for like the past 6 months.
I mean, it takes a kind of skill. Like, for instance, like the actors in Game of Thrones, like when you play a character for year after year and several years, like it's almost like it's a marriage, right, to that character. Like you have to
you have to vary your routine, otherwise you get stuck. Like Harry Potter.
It's a job.
Like, it's weird because like when you binge watch, like for me, Game of Thrones. Like for Game of Thrones, I binge watch season 1 to present, and the character, like the actor portraying the character, they were so good at keeping just the tiny little attributes of these characters. They each season they would just stay true to that, and that's to me, that's a hell of a skill, because, and I don't know if that's like, it ties into like channeling or maybe they find, I know, because a lot of times when we try to find, like on a much smaller scale, when we try to find actors for certain roles, for certain people that we wouldn't ask to play certain roles because they wouldn't be a good fit, so like personality and characteristics is definitely takes an effect as far as like how that person would portray a certain character. Because some people, like, I wouldn't call up this person and say, hey, can you play the role of this character, because they just wouldn't fit that role. So, but there are some people out there who can absolutely just on a dime just change it. they can just bring on the tears.
I would imagine that a lot of actors work ridiculously long days, 18, 23 hours of shooting, and you spend that time.
Right.
I would think, especially if you're a method actor, entirely immersed in the thinking patterns of someone who is not yourself. And that has to, over long-term shooting or from season after season, like on a television show, that has to have a really solid psychological and emotional impact.
Yeah, it's a job
on you as a person. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, I mean, think about like the actors from The Walking Dead. Those guys.
That show seems traumatizing if you work on it.
I mean, yeah,
but it has to be fun for them at the same time.
Well, it is fun. Like those guys have, I know those guys have a great time. I've worked with some of them from The Walking Dead.
Right. That's why we do the things we do.
I mean, they have a great, like,
ideally, it's fun.
Like behind scenes
to avoid a zombie apocalypse.
They like behind the scenes. They, I mean, pull pranks and just all kinds of crazy shit. But yeah, I mean, it definitely takes some skill to portray a character for that long. And just day in and day out, just maintain that. When you go home, you have to turn it off.
Yeah, it's a job.
It is a job, but it's not like you're going in and you're going to an office setting and you're typing on a keyboard. You know what I'm saying? And it's a completely different concept, in my opinion.
Absolutely, which is, in my opinion, much better than going to the office.
It could be. I mean, it is, depending on what you're doing. It's very long hours. I think that one night we were up 14 hours straight, and I didn't sit
Say
down
goodnight,
once.
guys. I'm going to cut the stream. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a good one.
Good night.
Good night.